Chapter 298. You're here. A gentle yet ethereal voice sounded beside Lu Yuan's ears, and Gu Yuna slowly rose to her feet. Yes, I'm here. Lu Yuan looked at Gu Yuna's graceful back and replied in a soft voice. Gu Yuna slowly turned around, revealing her stunningly beautiful features. Her translucent silver hair cascaded down her shoulders, and her snowy white skin was flawless. Her light purple eyes were as clear and translucent as autumn waters. Her figure was curvaceous, and her waist was slender, as if she were the most perfect masterpiece of the heavens. She blinked her bright eyes, and her bright red lips were slightly parted, exuding an indescribable sense of seduction. Lu Yuan's eyes immediately lit up at the sight of Gu Yuna's stunning features. After not seeing her for over a year, he felt as if Gu Yuna had become even more beautiful, and her allure to him had also become even greater. Gu Yuna gently strode forward with her delicate white feet. She was clearly not wearing shoes, but there was not a single speck of dust on her smooth feet. It was as if there was a mysterious power that was keeping all of the dust at bay. Gu Yuna slowly strode forward, and she soon arrived before Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan appraised her features, and she was also carefully appraising Lu Yuan. After not seeing him for over a year, Lu Yuan had also undergone significant changes. His temperament was still as otherworldly as before, but his masculine aura had become even more pronounced. Gu Yuna could sense that the golden dragon bloodline within Lu Yuan's body seemed to be slowly evolving, and its true power was constantly being unearthed. During the past year, the boy before her had become a lot more powerful. Furthermore, the resonance between their bloodlines had become even more intense, which indicated that Lu Yuan's bloodline was getting closer and closer to her level. Perhaps one day, his bloodline would evolve to the same level as hers. Do I look good? Why are you looking at me so seriously? Lu Yuan came to his senses first, and he turned to Gu Yuna as he asked in a soft voice. I don't know what it means to be good-looking, but I feel very comfortable looking at your face. Gu Yuna said. The dragon race had a different aesthetic concept from humans. The dragon race worshipped strength and did not pay much attention to appearance. For example, Lu Yuan was the first person to say that Gu Yuna was good-looking. Before Lu Yuan, no one had ever said that she was good-looking. She really didn't know what it meant to look good. Really? When I look at your face, I also feel very comfortable. You are still so beautiful, just like a year ago. Lu Yuan said with a smile. Really? Gu Yuna asked in a soft voice with a hint of anticipation on her face. Yes. Lu Yuan gently nodded. Under Gu Yuna's gaze, he gently touched her cheek. Her face was really beautiful. For someone like Lu Yuan who was obsessed with beauty, such a face was an irresistible temptation. In the past year, he had really missed Gu Yuna's peerless beauty. He gently stroked Gu Yuna's silver hair with his right hand. It was still so smooth to the touch, and he couldn't bear to part with it. Gu Yuna silently watched Lu Yuan's actions. Her face was slightly flushed, and her purple eyes stared straight at Lu Yuan. Her originally calm heart was thumping wildly. Her clear and transparent purple eyes were focused on Lu Yuan's double pupils. There was a serious look on her face as she asked, Why didn't you come to see me when you came to the Great Douluo Forest? Do you not want to see me that much? Lu Yuan's right hand, which was playing with Gu Yuna's silver hair, paused slightly when he heard this. Gu Yuna's voice was very gentle. Her personality had always been this gentle, but Lu Yuan could tell that there was a hint of grievance and indignation in her voice. He had come to the Great Douluo Forest, and clearly knew that she knew that he was here through his reverse scale. In the end, he still didn't come to see her. Come to think of it, Lu Yuan felt that he had gone overboard. It was no wonder that Gu Yuna was a little angry, even with her temper. Lu Yuan revealed a bitter smile and said, It's not that I don't want to see you. It's just that there are too many people around, and I can't leave. Furthermore, aren't you recuperating? I just don't want to disturb you. Really? Hearing Lu Yuan's words, the anger in Gu Yuna's heart dissipated, and she asked softly. Of course. Lu Yuan nodded. There was a serious look on his face, and his eyes were full of sincerity. Gu Yuna looked at Lu Yuan's expression and believed Lu Yuan's words. "How are your injuries?" Lu Yuan looked into Gu Yuna's eyes and asked. "They're a little better, but it'll still take a few decades for me to fully recover." Gu Yuna replied, "Is that so?" Lu Yuan muttered to himself. The look in his eyes changed slightly, as if he had made a decision. He looked at Gu Yuna and revealed a warm smile on his face. "Can I hug you? I really missed that hug from back then." And Gu Yuna nodded gently. Her voice was so soft that it was almost inaudible. There was a blush on her pretty face, and it was particularly moving. She also remembered the time when she hugged Lu Yuan for a whole night in this underground space. That was the most relaxed moment in her life. That kind of warmth and comfort made her reminisce to this day. Hearing Gu Yuna's soft words, Lu Yuan took a step forward. His hand slid down and wrapped around Gu Yuna's waist, holding her tightly in his arms. Burying his head in Gu Yuna's silver hair, Lu Yuan greedily smelled the fragrance of Gu Yuna's hair, and his heart was unprecedentedly calm. The feeling of hugging Gu Yuna was incomparable to that of others. The feeling of fullness gushing out from the depths of his bloodline made Lu Yuan feel as if his whole being had been sublimated. With the continuous transformation of his bloodline, the attraction between him and Gu Yuna also became stronger and stronger. Gu Yuna was already an existence that he couldn't give up in this lifetime. Gu Yuna lay quietly in Lu Yuan's arms and closed her beautiful eyes slightly. She felt relaxed that she hadn't felt for a long time. Only lying in Lu Yuan's arms could she enjoy this kind of relaxed feeling. There was no pressure, no responsibility. Lying quietly in Lu Yuan's warm embrace like this was really a good feeling. Lu Yuan's left cheek was pressed against Gu Yuna's cheek, and he felt the beautiful touch as he asked softly, "Do you still remember what I said to you before I left last time?" Gu Yuna nodded gently. She remembered that before Lu Yuan left, he seemed to have said that he seemed to have fallen in love with her. "Let me repeat it again." Lu Yuan raised his head and stared into Gu Yuna's purple eyes with a serious expression. "Gu Yuna, I found that I've fallen in love with you." After struggling for so long, Lu Yuan finally made up his mind. Since he already liked her, then what was the point of having so many scruples? Anyway, he was already a slag, so he might as well be a slag to the end. Chapter 299. Upon hearing Lu Yuan's words, Gu Yuna's heart trembled. Looking at Lu Yuan's scorching eyes, Gu Yuna's breathing became a little rapid, and her heart thumped rapidly. A burst of elation welled up from the bottom of her heart, taking over her entire body and mind. She had never experienced this feeling before, but it was so delightful. There was a peculiar light exuding from her eyes, and her pair of purple eyes were staring straight at Lu Yuan. That gentle smile seemed to be engraved into her heart. Looking at Gu Yuna's somewhat sluggish little eyes, Lu Yuan chuckled, and his right hand gently scratched Gu Yuna's delicate nose, and his hands cupped Gu Yuna's delicate face. "Did you hear me clearly?" Lu Yuan revealed a slightly devilish smile. Gu Yuna nodded in a daze, but she involuntarily reached out her hands to wrap around Lu Yuan's waist, as if she were hugging something tightly. Feeling the restraint from his waist, Lu Yuan's expression became even more gentle. He removed his hands, and the fingertips of his right hand slowly slid down Gu Yuna's beautiful face, gently raising Gu Yuna's smooth chin. "Do you still remember this?" Lu Yuan asked with a faint smile. Gu Yuna blinked her purple eyes lightly, and her pretty face blushed slightly. Lu Yuan had treated her like this when they first met. That was because she had schemed against him too much, and he was displeased, so he deliberately acted like this. However, what the two of them didn't expect was that it was precisely because of that experience that Lu Yuan's shadow slowly appeared in Gu Yuna's heart. After all, Lu Yuan was the first person to do this to Gu Yuna, and this kind of strange but pleasurable feeling made Gu Yuna's heart begin to sprout. During this kind of interaction, the two of them had been in close contact for a year, and Gu Yuna had unknowingly developed a strange feeling toward Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan was a very mysterious person, and Gu Yuna knew it from the beginning. Furthermore, that mysterious and noble aura far exceeded that of a god king. This made her believe that Lu Yuan was the savior of the soul beasts. She instinctively focused her attention on Lu Yuan. Coupled with the fact that Lu Yuan possessed the Golden Dragon bloodline and was constantly evolving, the attraction between the two of them grew stronger and stronger. As a result, the relationship between the two of them began to grow closer and closer. Not only was Gu Yuna not opposed to this kind of intimacy, she was actually very happy. This was because she saw Lu Yuan as the hope for the rise of the soul beasts, and she often took the initiative to get closer to Lu Yuan. After all, the better Lu Yuan's relationship with the soul beasts, the better it was for the soul beasts. Under these circumstances, Gu Yuna had always wanted to get closer to Lu Yuan. In addition, her heart was gradually beginning to stir, and this feeling was naturally born. Lu Yuan's heart stirred at the sight of Gu Yuna's blushing cheeks and her beautiful, clear, and regal purple eyes. He would never get tired of looking at her face, and he really couldn't bear to part with it. Lu Yuan slowly raised Gu Yuna's smooth chin with the tip of his index finger. He looked at her slightly parted red lips, and he couldn't repress the passion in his heart any longer. He lowered his head slightly and slowly covered Gu Yuna's astonished gaze with his own. Gu Yuna's lips were a little cold, but they were exceptionally soft and supple. They were soft and tender, and they felt extremely good to the touch. Lu Yuan's movements were very gentle. He gently kissed Gu Yuna's lips, and his right hand gently stroked Gu Yuna's smooth cheeks. After being kissed by Lu Yuan, Gu Yuna's body stiffened at first, and then she instantly became soft. Her purple eyes were filled with tears, and she collapsed in Lu Yuan's arms. She let Lu Yuan do whatever he wanted to her. A few minutes later, Lu Yuan's left hand was around Gu Yuna's delicate waist. He gently raised his head and looked at Gu Yuna, who had her eyes slightly closed. Her expression was tranquil, and a smile appeared on his face. Gu Yuna was really gentle as water. The feeling of kissing Gu Yuna was very good. When he kissed Gu Yuna, he only felt as if his whole body was complete, as if he was holding the whole world in his arms. Holding Gu Yuna's delicate body a little tighter and looking at Gu Yuna's beautiful face, Lu Yuan made up his mind. He would never let go of this woman in his life, no matter what he had to face. It seemed that Lu Yuan had stopped moving, and Gu Yuna opened her beautiful eyes. She looked at Lu Yuan with a hint of confusion in her eyes, as if she hadn't recovered from that feeling yet. Looking at Gu Yuna's confused eyes, Lu Yuan was amused. He lowered his head and gently kissed Gu Yuna's cherry lips. This time, Gu Yuna completely recovered from her shock. A blush appeared on her beautiful face, and she blinked her purple eyes. She looked at Lu Yuan with watery eyes. His right hand gently touched Gu Yuna's delicate nose, and he looked into Gu Yuna's limpid eyes with a smile. How do you feel? Is it very novel? You've never experienced it before, right? Gu Yuna gave an indiscernible hum. Her face was still shy, but her purple eyes were still fixed on Lu Yuan. Her hand around Lu Yuan's waist tightened even more. Lu Yuan looked directly at Gu Yuna, and his expression became a little serious. He held Gu Yuna tightly in his arms, and his forehead gently touched Gu Yuna's forehead. From today onwards, you're mine. Looking at Lu Yuan's domineering and scorching eyes, and feeling the heat on her face, Gu Yuna's heart trembled. For a moment, she didn't know what to say. In the end, she just gave a soft hum. No matter what difficulties you encounter in the future, I'll be with you, okay? Nah. Lu Yuan said softly. Gu Yuna nodded gently. With Lu Yuan's words, she felt the burden on her body lighten a little. She felt a sense of security that she had never felt before. Was this the feeling of having someone to rely on? However, it had to be said that this was a really good feeling. Gu Yuna gently turned her head and leaned against Lu Yuan's chest, basking in his warm embrace. Come to think of it, she was far more powerful than Lu Yuan. As long as a god didn't descend to the lower realm, she would be the most powerful being on the Douluo continent. If she were to recover her full power, even a first-tier god would be no match for her, unless a godly monarch were to descend. However, no matter how powerful she was still a woman. As a woman, she had to rely on someone, especially a woman like Gu Yuna, who was responsible for the rise and fall of an entire race. The heavy burden on her body was almost suffocating her. At this time, she had Lu Yuan to help her carry it and give her a warm hug when she was tired. For Gu Yuna, this was an experience she had never experienced before. It was a wonderful feeling that she had never experienced before. Gu Yuna greedily absorbed Lu Yuan's aura with a content and peaceful expression on her face. Chapter 300. A hint of sympathy welled up in Lu Yuan's heart at the sight of Gu Yuna's contented and peaceful expression. Seeing as her wish was to lead the soul beast race to a new height, then he would do everything in his power to help her achieve this goal. As long as the soul beast race could once again ascend to godhood, then the heavy burden on Gu Yuna's shoulders would be lifted. When that time came, she would truly be able to relax. His right hand slowly stroked Gu Yuna's long silver hair, and he felt that it was extremely smooth. In a strange underground space, the two of them embraced each other tightly. Another half a day passed in the blink of an eye, and it was already afternoon. Lu Yuan sat on a clean stone slab with Gu Yuna half lying in his arms. Her beautiful purple eyes were carefully appraising Lu Yuan as a relaxed smile appeared on her face. Do you know what love is now? Lu Yuan pinched Gu Yuna's nose in amusement. Yes. Gu Yuna nodded as she looked at Lu Yuan with a serious expression. Lu Yuan, I love you. Gu Yuna spoke in a soft voice. I love you too, Na. Lu Yuan replied with a faint smile. Gu Yuna was very happy to be affectionately addressed as Na, by Lu Yuan. She extended a hand and slowly placed it on Lu Yuan's chest. Lu Yuan didn't move, and he merely looked at Gu Yuna's actions. Gu Yuna reached into Lu Yuan's arms and pulled out a silver reverse scale. A smile appeared on her face as she asked, Have you been wearing this for the past 2 years? Of course. Didn't you say that you wanted me to keep it with me? Lu Yuan replied with a faint smile. Gu Yuna's beautiful smile immediately blossomed upon hearing this. She carefully stroked the silver reverse scale before placing it back into Lu Yuan's arms. She then looked at Lu Yuan with a serious expression. You have to keep it with you at all times. If you're in any danger, I'll be able to quickly sense it and rush over to save you. Gu Yuna said, All right, I got it. Lu Yuan held Gu Yuna's hand and nodded slightly. Nah, or what realm are you at right now? Lu Yuan suddenly asked. Gu Yuna pondered for a moment, then said, The power I can use now is roughly equivalent to that of a third-tier god. But if I add to my powerful mental power, I should be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with a second-tier god. Is that so? Lu Yuan stroked his chin and asked, What if you fully recover from your injuries? If he fully recovers, he should have the strength of a second-tier god. Combined with his mental power, he should be able to fight against a first-tier god. After all, I've been injured for so many years. Even if I make a full recovery, it'll still take me quite some time to completely recover my strength. If I want to stand on the same level as the God King in the past, I'll need several decades to recover. Gu Yuna said, I see. Lu Yuan looked at Gu Yuna's beautiful face and suddenly smiled. Do you still remember the promise I made to you? Promise? What promise? Will you help the soul beasts rise again? Gu Yuna asked. Not this one, it's another one. Think about it carefully, Lu Yuan said with a smile. Gu Yuna pondered for a moment, then gently shook her head and said, I can't think of anything. What kind of promise is it? Gu Yuna looked at Lu Yuan in puzzlement. Lu Yuan chuckled and said, When I left, I said that as long as we meet again, I'll definitely help you completely recover from your injuries. Now, the time has come. Completely recover from my injuries? Gu Yuna's eyes widened. At that time, she thought that this was just something Lu Yuan said casually. She didn't expect it to be true. Lu Yuan nodded gently and said, don't resist. I'll pass something to you. After all, Gu Yuna's mental power was too strong. If he didn't inform her, just the automatic counterattack of her mental power would severely injure Lu Yuan's mental power. Therefore, Gu Yuna must control herself and not resist. Gu Yuna responded and controlled her mental power. Lu Yuan closed his eyes slightly, and a faint golden light flashed in his hand. His finger gently touched Gu Yuna's forehead and used his mental power to transmit the contents of the esoteric character to Gu Yuna. The esoteric character was not like the Phoenix Dance 6 illusions. This was not something that could be described with simple words. Therefore, Lu Yuan chose to directly transmit it with his mental power. The faint golden light from Lu Yuan's finger entered Gu Yuna's forehead. Not long after, Lu Yuan withdrew his finger and looked at Gu Yuna, who still had her eyes slightly closed. The esoteric character was absolutely magical. Of course, it was also very difficult to comprehend. It had been a year since he obtained the esoteric character, but Lu Yuan was still at the beginning. He was still far from completely comprehending the essence of the esoteric character. But even so, the current Lu Yuan, unless it was a serious injury, such as a ruptured internal organ or a shattered heart, he could instantly recover from ordinary injuries. If he could comprehend the esoteric character to a deeper level, then other than a ruptured heart and brain, the rest of the injuries would be nothing to be afraid of. If he could cultivate it to a higher level, then even a ruptured heart could be recovered. And if he could reach a higher level, even if he was blasted into a bloody mist, as long as there was a drop of blood remaining, he could instantly recover and be reborn from a single drop of blood. Therefore, as long as Gu Yuna could comprehend the esoteric character to a certain level, recovering from injuries would be a small matter. Even her strength could be rapidly recovered. This was the strength of the esoteric character. After a few minutes, Gu Yuna opened her eyes. Her eyes were filled with shock and surprise. Lu Yuan, where did you get this esoteric character? It's too profound. Gu Yuna's face was filled with excitement. With this esoteric character, she only needed to comprehend it carefully. She could guarantee that all her injuries would be healed within 2 years. Her strength would also reach the level of a level 2 god. And even if she could recover to the level of a god king, it would not take more than 10 years. The reason why she needed such a long time was not because the esoteric character was not powerful. Instead, it was because Gu Yuna needed time to comprehend it. The esoteric character was too profound. Even she had never seen such a powerful esoteric character. If this esoteric character was cultivated to a higher level, then even if one was beaten to a pulp, all injuries would be instantly healed. Not only the physical body, but also the spirit. At the same time, it could also recover all of one's strength, allowing one to maintain their peak state forever. This was really very powerful. That was why Gu Yuna looked at Lu Yuan in shock. You don't have to ask where I got it from. Isn't it good for your injuries? Lu Yuan said with a smile as he looked at the excited Gu Yuna. Yes, with it, as long as I comprehend it to a higher level, all my injuries will be healed. I estimate that it won't take more than 2 years. Gu Yuna said. Chapter 301. After hearing Gu Yuna's words, Lu Yuan slowly nodded. Actually, 2 years was already very reasonable. Firstly, it would take a lot of time to comprehend the esoteric word. Secondly, Gu Yuna's injuries were caused by the power of slaughter and destruction. It would be difficult for her to recover. To be able to recover in 2 years was actually quite fast. Just like himself, didn't he only comprehend the basics after a year? Although the esoteric word was powerful, it was also very difficult to comprehend. Lu Yuan, you've given me such a precious technique. How can I repay you? Gu Yuna raised her head and looked at Lu Yuan with her purple eyes. The esoteric word was too precious. It was not something that a mere golden dragon spear could compare to. Moreover, the golden dragon spear had already been offset by Lu Yuan's life spirit crystal. So what could she give Lu Yuan now? Was it that thing? But that was not even a tenth of the esoteric word. And that thing had a deep relationship with him. Repay me. He looked at Gu Yuna with a strange gaze. He really didn't expect her to say something like this. With their current relationship, was there a need to be so calculative? If it wasn't for their relationship, Lu Yuan wouldn't have been willing to teach her the esoteric word. After all, a peerless technique like the esoteric word could only be taught to the person closest to him. You really want to repay me? Lu Yuan's eyes flickered slightly. Yes. Gu Yuna nodded lightly and said, this esoteric word is too precious. I can't take it for free. As a former divine king, she was very knowledgeable. The esoteric word was definitely more precious than all the divine skills and the so-called super divine tools in the divine realm. It could be said that if a first-tier god had the esoteric word, he would be invincible among first-tier gods. He could even fight against a divine king. This was because he was not afraid of being injured at all. He could even fight a divine king. Therefore, Gu Yuna was at a loss when she suddenly took such a precious thing. She still hadn't adapted to her new identity. Then how about you repaying me with yourself? How about giving yourself to me? A faint smile appeared on Lu Yuan's face as he swept Gu Yuna into his arms, then lowered his head slightly to kiss her cherry lips. Woo! Gu Yuna's red lips were covered by Lu Yuan's, and she immediately let out a cry. Her delicate body went limp, and she lay in Lu Yuan's arms, allowing Lu Yuan to do whatever he wanted of her. Why are you being so polite to me? Serves you right. Once again, fiercely kissing Gu Yuna, Lu Yuan couldn't help but reveal a trace of a smile when he saw her red face and pitiful appearance. She had already established a relationship with him, yet she was still treating him as an outsider. Lu Yuan could only teach her a lesson. Gu Yuna blushed and leaned her head against Lu Yuan's chest like a little wife who was being bullied. In the eyes of outsiders, she was the high and mighty Silver Dragon King, incomparably noble and full of divine majesty. However, in front of Lu Yuan, her pride and nobility as the Silver Dragon King disappeared. She was just that somewhat silly, gentle, and somewhat shy Gu Yuna. His index finger lifted Gu Yuna's smooth chin. For some reason, Lu Yuan liked to treat Gu Yuna like this, and there was a strange feeling. In the future, you're not allowed to say such things to me, and you're not allowed to say thank you to me, understand? Lu Yuan lifted Gu Yuna's chin and slightly moved his head closer. The two of them could hear each other's breathing. Understood. Gu Yuna nodded her head lightly like a little punching bag. Looking at Gu Yuna's somewhat aggrieved little eyes, Lu Yuan revealed a gentle smile. He gently stroked Gu Yuna's cheek and said, "There's no need for so many formalities between us. What's mine is yours." Gu Yuna smiled sweetly, and her heart felt warm. Her purple eyes were shining as if they were exuding joy. "Oh, right." Gu Yuna seemed to have suddenly thought of something and said, "That day, the azure bull python and the titan giant ape brought that little rabbit back. Both of them were quite severely injured, and the titan giant ape was almost half dead. Nothing in the core region of the Great Stardow Forest could be hidden from her. She was even aware of what Lu Yuan had said to the sky azure bull python and the titan giant ape, but she didn't stop them. This was because she felt that what Lu Yuan was doing wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Furthermore, sacrificing the titan giant ape to Lu Yuan to become his fifth soul ring could be considered a good thing. After all, it had only just reached the 100,000-year level, and its power was only equivalent to that of a rank 95 title Douluo. Such combat prowess wouldn't be of much use, so it was better to sacrifice it to Lu Yuan to help him become more powerful as quickly as possible. This was a good thing for both Lu Yuan and the Soul Beast race. As such, there was no need for Gu Yuna to stop him. Furthermore, from the bottom of her heart, she didn't want to stop Lu Yuan from doing what he wanted to do. Lu Yuan's brows furrowed slightly, and he asked, "Have you sent anyone to treat it?" "I've already asked Tian to send by Ji to treat it. The Sky Azure Bull Python should be able to make a full recovery, but the Titan Giant Ape will be difficult to treat. Its internal injuries are too severe, and its internal organs are severely damaged. Even Bai Ji will find it very difficult to treat it. At most, she'll be able to buy some time and extend its lifespan. If you want to save its life, you'll have to let it cultivate your secret character. Otherwise, even with Bai Ji's treatment, it'll only be able to buy around a dozen years at most," Gu Yuna said. Is that so? Do you think I should teach it the secret character? Lu Yuan suddenly smiled, and he turned to Gu Yuna with a probing look in his eyes. Do you want to know what Gu Yuna was thinking? No, the secret character is far too precious. It's best not to teach it to too many people, not even Di Tian. Gu Yuna shook her head. The secret character was far too heaven-defying, and it had far too many implications. She definitely couldn't allow too many people to know about it. Otherwise, it would bring trouble to Lu Yuan. After all, if such a thing were to spread, all of the gods in the entire divine realm would definitely be tempted. This would be extremely disadvantageous to Lu Yuan. To the current Gu Yuna, Lu Yuan was the most important person. Not only was Lu Yuan the hope of the soul beast race, but he was also the person she had placed her heart on. Gu Yuna definitely couldn't bear to see Lu Yuan suffer even the slightest harm. Lu Yuan was naturally able to see through Gu Yuna's thoughts. He was extremely intelligent, and there were very few times when he couldn't see through her. Sometimes he would put on an expression of ignorance, but in reality, he was only pretending. In reality, he knew very well what was going on. He hugged Gu Yuna lovingly and gently kissed her purple eyes as he said, "I want the Titan giant ape to be sacrificed for me. You don't have any objections?" Chapter 302. Why would I object? Gu Yuna asked as she looked at Lu Yuan with her beautiful eyes. Lu Yuan was stunned when he heard this. "I wanted soul ring and soul bone. Shouldn't you be angry? Didn't he want to sacrifice the Titan giant ape for its soul ring? How could Gu Yuna not be angry? Why should I be angry? Didn't you say that you would revive it? Furthermore, you are the hope of our soul beast race. Even if you want me to sacrifice myself for you one day, I'm willing to do so. As long as our soul beast race can rise to prominence, there's no soul beast that can't be sacrificed." Gu Yuna's voice was unprecedentedly firm as she spoke. All soul beasts should sacrifice themselves for the rise of the soul beast race, including her. This was Gu Yuna's true opinion. That day will never come. I won't let anything happen to you. Lu Yuan held Gu Yuna tightly in his arms. "I'll do my best to help the soul beast race rise to prominence, but you can't have such thoughts. I won't allow it." Compared to Gu Yuna, soul rings were nothing. He was truly afraid that Gu Yuna was harboring such dangerous thoughts in her heart. He could scheme against everything in the world, but that was only so that the people around him wouldn't be harmed. If he couldn't even protect his own woman and wanted her to sacrifice herself for him, then was he worthy of being called a man? He wasn't Tang San, nor was he Hui Yu Hao. He definitely wouldn't let the person he loved sacrifice herself for him. Even if he had to die, he would definitely die before Gu Yuna. All right. Gu Yuna could clearly sense Lu Yuan's excitement and worry. Her heart was filled with warmth, and she felt very comfortable. "You have to promise me that you will never think of sacrificing yourself again. Otherwise, I will quit on the spot. To me, the soul beast race is far less important than you. If you die, then the soul beast race will decline forever." In order to prevent Gu Yuna from doing anything stupid, Lu Yuan could only use his trump card. This, Gu Yuna was shocked. She didn't expect Lu Yuan to have such a big reaction. She was stunned for a moment. But looking at Lu Yuan's determined look, she could only promise Lu Yuan that she would never have such thoughts again. "Nah, you have to remember that you are the greatest bond between me and the soul beast race. Therefore, you don't have to think of ways to pull me closer to the soul beast race. As long as you are here, I will do my best to help you even if you don't ask. Therefore, if you want to see the rise of the soul beast race, the first thing you have to do is to protect yourself. Do you understand?" Lu Yuan looked at Gu Yuna with a sincere and gentle expression. Yes. Gu Yuna nodded heavily, and her heart was filled with warmth. Lu Yuan heaved a sigh of relief when he saw Gu Yuna nod. Apart from his golden dragon bloodline, he only had Gu Yuna and Wang Qiu as his ties to the soul beasts. The former was his lover, and the latter was his sister. All the soul beasts could sacrifice themselves for the rise of the soul beast race, but they couldn't. They definitely couldn't. Lu Yuan believed that Gu Yuna would consider her own safety when she acted after what he said. She wouldn't be so foolish as to sacrifice herself for the sake of the soul beast race. This was because the soul beast race didn't have any hope if Lu Yuan didn't do anything. When the dragon god was still around, he was still defeated by the 5 god kings. Moreover, there was only the silver dragon king now. To the soul beast race, Lu Yuan, who could become a god of laws in the future, was their only hope. Laws controlled all things and were above the 5 god kings. As long as Lu Yuan could become a god of laws and control the power of laws, even the 5 god kings wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Even if they teamed up, they wouldn't be his match. Of course, it definitely wouldn't be easy to become a god, and Lu Yuan still had a long way to go before he could comprehend and control the power of laws. Lu Yuan gently stroked Gu Yuna's silver hair and sighed, "Nar, I want to take a look at the sky, azure bull python, and titan giant ape. Do you want to come with me? You stayed in this underground space for long enough. Let's go out for a walk. As long as you don't use power that surpasses the god grade, the divine realm won't be able to sense you," Lu Yuan said. Lu Yuan looked at Gu Yuna with anticipation in his eyes. It was too much for a peerless beauty like her to stay in this small and monotonous underground space for tens of thousands of years. "I'll do as you say." A faint smile appeared on Gu Yuna's face. She would never refuse Lu Yuan's requests, let alone such a small request. "Then let's go." Lu Yuan was ecstatic to hear Gu Yuna's affirmative answer, and he stood up. He grabbed Gu Yuna's hand and walked toward the spatial passageway outside. Phew! Sure enough, it's more comfortable outside. Lu Yuan took a deep breath of air. Although the life force around the Lake of Life wasn't as dense as in the underground space, it was exceptionally fresh and gave people a sense of vitality. Moreover, the blazing sun hanging high in the sky was sprinkling golden light. Paired with the boundless blue sky, one couldn't help but feel a lot more cheerful. Compared to the narrow, underground space, who knew how many times more comfortable it was? After staying down there for so long, there would always be a kind of stifling feeling. Gu Yuna had stayed down there for tens of thousands of years, yet she still had such a gentle temperament. Her temperament was so good that Lu Yuan couldn't help but sigh at his inferiority. He felt that if he really stayed in such a stifling environment for too long, his heart would definitely be unable to bear it. Although he somewhat liked the quiet, he was ultimately a human. As long as he was a human, he would have to interact with other humans. After all, humans were social animals. "Nar, how's the scenery outside? It's much better than what you saw in the underground space, right?" Lu Yuan asked with a smile. "MHM." Gu Yuna nodded. Her purple eyes inadvertently curved into crescent moons as she basked in the gentle breeze and the occasional fragrance of flowers and plants. She hadn't seen the outside world for tens of thousands of years, and today she was able to see the light of day again. This was a wonderful feeling. Looking at Lu Yuan beside her, Gu Yuna couldn't help but smile slightly, and she couldn't help but tighten her grip on Lu Yuan's hand. A faint smile appeared on Lu Yuan's face as he sensed the sense of urgency from Gu Yuna's hand. He turned his hand over and grasped her hand tightly again. In that instant, their fingers were tightly intertwined. They looked at each other and couldn't help but smile. Gu Yuna slowly approached Lu Yuan, and her body was slightly pressed against his shoulder. Just as Lu Yuan was about to say something, his expression suddenly focused. He sensed a somewhat familiar bloodline fluctuation rushing toward him. Looking at the familiar golden figure, Lu Yuan's expression slowly became gentle. Chapter 303. The bright golden hair, the strange blood-red vertical pupils, and the 4 balls of golden flames beneath his feet all indicated the identity of a newcomer. It was the Emperor Beast, the 3-eyed golden lion. It also possessed the golden dragon's bloodline. Of course, it was also Lu Yuan's younger sister, Wang Xiao, elder brother. The 3-eyed golden lion let out a crisp and tender voice as it flew into Lu Yuan's arms. Its 2 front legs rested on Lu Yuan's chest as it rubbed its head against Lu Yuan's face. It even stuck out its tongue and licked Lu Yuan's face. However, Lu Yuan didn't seem to mind. He had a doting look on his face as he gently rubbed the three-eyed golden lion's head with his right hand. Immediately, it closed its eyes in comfort. "Joer, what did you know I was here?" Lu Yuan rubbed the three-eyed golden lion's head with a warm smile on his face. "Uncle Dition brought me here," the three-eyed golden lion said. "Oh, Dition?" Lu Yuan couldn't help but glance at Guyuna. This was most likely her idea. Indeed, Guyuna nodded gently. Her red lips parted slightly, and her voice was like a silver bell. "I think it's not easy for you to come here. You must really want to meet Xiao. Lu Yuan looked at Guyuna with a meaningful look. Suddenly, Guyuna blinked her beautiful eyes and smiled mischievously at Lu Yuan. "You're so innocent when it comes to relationships. However, when it comes to things that have nothing to do with relationships, you're even smarter than a monkey." Lu Yuan shook his head helplessly. If Guyuna had played this trick with him before, he would have felt uncomfortable. However, Guyuna was his wife now, and he had to pamper her no matter what. Furthermore, he really wanted to meet Xiao. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Guyuna was a little embarrassed. This was because Wang Xiao was the closest to Lu Yuan among all the soul beasts. Therefore, Guyuna wanted Lu Yuan to meet Wang Xiao more often to improve their relationship. However, there was no need for that in the future because she and Lu Yuan were already in that kind of relationship. Moreover, she also knew Lu Yuan's thoughts, so she didn't have to worry about Lu Yuan not helping the soul beast with all his might. "I'll deal with you later." Lu Yuan leaned over and whispered into Guyuna's ear. Suddenly, Guyuna's pretty face turned slightly red. She knew what Lu Yuan meant by settling accounts. However, she didn't reject it in her heart. Instead, she was looking forward to it. "Where's Dition? Since you're here, why don't you come out?" Lu Yuan asked as he gently stroked the soft golden fur on the three-eyed golden lion's neck. "Dition, come out," Guyuna said softly. Just as Guyuna finished speaking, Dition's figure appeared. His golden eyes stared at Lu Yuan and Guyuna's hands, which were tightly held together. There was a look of astonishment on his face. Could it be master in this kid? Dition muttered in his heart, but he didn't say it out loud. The main thing was that he didn't dare to do so. This was because Guyuna's superior aura had already made Dition submit to her. Furthermore, Dition didn't reject Lu Yuan. On the contrary, he admired him. "Master, why did you come out?" Dition asked doubtfully. "I came out to see the outside world. Coincidentally, we're going to take a look at the sky azure bull python. Come with us," Guyuna said plainly. Although her voice was gentle, it sounded like she couldn't be refused. "Yes." Dition nodded slightly and said, "The sky azure bull python and the titan giant ape are in my territory. Bai Ji is treating their injuries. There's also a transformed soft bone rabbit with them." Dition didn't hide anything from Guyuna. He reported everything that he knew to her. "All right, I got it. Lead the way," Guyuna said. "Yes, my lord," Dition replied as he led the way. Lu Yuan looked at Guyuna with a strange look in his eyes. Perhaps this was her true attitude. She was noble and dignified. Even a powerful individual like Dition, who could rival a demigod, had to be submissive in front of her. However, she was so gentle in front of him. Her gentleness was like the spring rain in March. It was soft and dense, and it inadvertently warmed his heart. A girl like her was the perfect wife. Lu Yuan thought to himself as he glanced at Guyuna. Guyuna seemed to sense his gaze. She turned around and winked at Lu Yuan with a warm smile on her face. Lu Yuan's heart skipped a beat, and he grabbed Guyuna's soft and delicate hand again. Lu Yuan patted the three-eyed golden lion's head and smiled. "Xiao, come down. We're about to set off." "Okay, big brother." The three-eyed golden lion lowered her front legs from Lu Yuan's chest and quietly followed beside Lu Yuan. Everyone walked forward under Dition's lead. Dition's territory, the sky azure bull python, and the titan giant ape were lying on the ground. Bai Ji had also transformed into her original form, the emerald swan. She gently flapped her wings, and streaks of green light enveloped the two soul beasts. Not far from the two soul beasts, Xiao Wu was watching them closely. There was a look of concern in her eyes. To Xiao Wu, the sky azure bull python and the titan giant ape were her last family. As for Tang San, they were already strangers. Tang Hao's death was a knot that they couldn't cross. It was almost impossible for them to be together again. Furthermore, both the sky azure bull python and the titan giant ape were severely injured. If either of them couldn't resist and died, then Xiao Wu and Tang San would become mortal enemies. The two soul beasts were severely injured. After all, Tang Hao's final attack had reached the limit of half a step. Even if the two soul beasts joined forces to resist such an attack, they wouldn't have been able to resist it. The limit was the limit. Even if it was only half a step, it wasn't something that two rank 95 and rank 96 transcendent Douluo could resist. It wasn't easy for the two soul beasts to drag their severely injured bodies back to the core region before collapsing. This was also because they were soul beasts and had strong constitutions. Otherwise, a rank 95 or rank 96 transcendent Douluo would have collapsed long ago. They might even have died on the spot. After all, he had exploded his 100,000-year soul ring and infused his last bit of life into that attack. It had to be said that Tang Hao was quite powerful. Even though he couldn't be compared to an ultimate Douluo, if he were to fight with his life on the line, any title Douluo below rank 98 would be killed. Even those stronger than him could be killed by him. After all, the exploding bracelet was a godly skill on the Douluo continent. It could be said that the Clear Sky sect didn't rely on the Clear Sky hammer or the chaotic cloak to secure their title as the #1 sect in the world. Those were all small tricks. The exploding bracelet was the true heritage of the Clear Sky sect. It was a pity that after Tang Hao's death, Tang Chun was the only one left who could use the exploding bracelet. Right now, Tang Chun wasn't in a very good situation. Chapter 304. Of course, whether Tang Chun was in a good situation or not didn't have much to do with Lu Yuan. To Lu Yuan, the worse Tang Chen's situation was, the more beneficial it was for Lu Yuan. After all, he was from the Clear Sky sect. Moreover, Tang Chen was not like Tang Hao. This person was a true genius, and he was an indomitable spirit. He was a true hero. He had relied on his own strength to reach rank 99. Sendoryu and Pasizi were far inferior to Tang Chun. None of them were Tang Chen's match without the help of their divine power. After all, Tang Chun would blow up his rings at the slightest provocation. Perhaps Long Xiaoyao was the only one who could fight Tang Chen head-on. Long Xiaoyao was also one of the best among the ultimate soul masters. He was also a person who led an era. He had also relied on his own strength to reach rank 99. He even had 200,000-year soul rings, and his superb martial soul, the Darkness Holy Dragon. Tang Chun couldn't compare to him. However, Tang Chen's ability to blow up rings was something that Long Xiaoyao couldn't compare to. Therefore, Long Xiaoyao shouldn't be too far off from Tang Chun. Bai Ji flapped her huge, snow-white wings, and balls of green fog entered the wounds of the two soul beasts. As the green light spread, the wounds of the two soul beasts were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Under Di Tian's lead, Lu Yuan and the rest arrived. Lu Yuan couldn't help but shake his head as he looked at the two soul beasts that were lying on the ground and the hideous wounds on their bodies. He didn't expect Tang Hao to be able to unleash such strength even though he was severely injured. He was actually able to severely injure the sky azure bull python and the titan giant ape. However, Lu Yuan didn't need to guess to know that Tang Hao was already dead. Judging from the traces left behind on the battlefield, it was very likely that Tang Hao's body had been smashed to smithereens, and not even his bones remained. The sky azure bull python possessed the power of lightning, and lightning was of the nirvanic nature, so perhaps it had already annihilated Tang Hao's body. Furthermore, Tang Hao's body was already damaged, so he couldn't use his full strength. If he wanted to injure the two soul beasts, he would have to detonate his soul rings. Once he did, even the gods wouldn't be able to save him. He didn't have the esoteric secret character. Therefore, no matter what, Tang Hao had to die. Thinking of this, Lu Yuan couldn't help but sigh. He originally only wanted to separate Tang San and Xiao Wu, but he didn't expect things to develop to this point. These arrangements were not part of his plan. The Sky Azure Bull Python was most likely the one who had come up with this plan. After all, it was quite intelligent, and it was Xiao Wu's loyal bootlicker. It was aware that someone was spying on Xiao Wu and trying to harm her, so how could it not do anything? It definitely wanted to teach the titled Douluo who dared to spy on Xiao Wu a lesson. It would be normal for Tang Hao to die in such a fight. Speaking of which, Lu Yuan really felt lucky for Tang San. This guy's luck was really good. These two soul beasts must have been in a frenzy, so how could they still remember what he said? Lu Yuan shook his head. The Titan giant ape definitely couldn't remember, but the Sky Azure Bull Python might not. The only reason Tang San was still alive was probably because Xiao Wu begged for mercy, and the Sky Azure Bull Python remembered what he said and spared Tang San. After seeing the two soul beasts' injuries, Lu Yuan was able to analyze the situation. After all, he was quite intelligent. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to set up a trap in Heaven Do and help Chihiro Snow become the crown prince. Lu Yuan and the others had caused a huge commotion, so Xiao Wu and the others quickly discovered them. Xiao Wu's eyes widened in shock when she saw Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan, why are you here? Xiao Wu didn't recognize the dignified silver-haired lady beside Lu Yuan, but she could sense that she was a soul beast. This was her instinct as a soul beast. After all, she didn't conceal her aura, so it was normal for Xiao Wu to sense her. As for Wang Qiu, it wasn't difficult for Xiao Wu to recognize her as the three-eyed golden lion, given her experience as a 100,000-year soul beast. Xiao Wu also knew that Di Tian was the #1 savage beast in the Great Stardow Forest, the 800,000-year golden eyes Black Dragon King, the beast god, Di Tian. What surprised her the most was that Lu Yuan was with these three soul beasts, and they seemed to be very close. This was especially so for the silver-haired lady's hands, and the three-eyed golden lion beside her. They seemed to be very close to Lu Yuan. If he can be here, why can't I? Lu Yuan said when he saw Xiao Wu's shocked expression. The reason I'm here is because I'm... As Xiao Wu spoke, she seemed to have thought of something and suddenly stopped. Because you're a 100,000-year soft-bone rabbit in human form? Lu Yuan smiled faintly as he spoke. How did you know? Xiao Wu's voice became a little sharp and unconsciously raised a few octaves. She did not expect Lu Yuan to know her true identity. From the first time I saw you, I knew that you were very brave. Tang San's father is Tang Hao, the Hao Tian Douluo. He has been spying on you ever since you first met him. I didn't expect you to be so close to him. You're really not afraid of death. Lu Yuan shook his head gently as he spoke. Tang Hao was the first person to know that Xiao Wu was a 100,000-year soul beast. If he hadn't fallen in love with Xiao Wu, her fate would have been extremely tragic. She wouldn't have been able to keep her life, and even her soul ring and soul bone would have become someone else's. Lu Yuan could guarantee that if Tang Hao and Xiao Wu hadn't developed feelings for each other, he would have definitely made a move on Xiao Wu. Never underestimate a soul master's desire for a 100,000-year soul ring and soul bone. It was a kind of greed that rose from the bottom of one's heart. There were very few people who could resist such temptation. Unless the 100,000-year soul beast was very close to them, very few soul masters would reject a 100,000-year soul beast that was delivered to their doorstep. At the very least, Tang Hao definitely wouldn't be able to resist. You know that Xiao San's father is a titled Douluo, and you also know that he's been spying on me? Xiao Wu's red eyes widened as she stared at Lu Yuan with shock. She didn't expect Lu Yuan to know her identity long ago, and even know that Xiao San's father was spying on her. Why else do you think the Sky Azure Bull Python and Titan Giant Ape knew that a human titled Douluo was spying on you? Lu Yuan said indifferently, I was the one who told them. With your current identity, it's too dangerous for you to wander around the human world. The Great Stardow Forest is more suitable for you. It won't be too late for you to wander around when you reach maturity. Besides, Do you really want to die at Tang Hao's hands? Lu Yuan looked at Xiao Wu with an indifferent expression. Chapter 305. Xiao Wu shook her head. She was living a good life. So how could she want to die? Even if the person who wanted her soul ring and soul bone was Tang San. After all, even though she had fallen in love with Tang San, it wasn't to the point where they would live and die together. Xiao Wu couldn't sacrifice herself for Tang San. In the original novel, Xiao Wu had sacrificed herself for Tang San, and at that time, the two of them were already very close. However, their relationship had only just begun to deteriorate, and the two of them hadn't even noticed it yet. In her heart, Tang San was very important, but at the very most, he was only slightly more important than the sky, azure bull python, and titan giant ape. Perhaps the two of them were more or less equal in status, so they were far from being willing to die for one another. Their relationship was more like that of a brother and sister, but not yet lovers. When was the relationship between a man and a woman the easiest to sever? It was during this period. This was because the relationship had only just sprouted, and it might be a little hard to accept when it was severed, but as time passed, it would naturally fade away. It wasn't like true love, which would last until the end of time. Under such circumstances, how could Xiao Wu be willing to sacrifice herself to become Tang San's soul ring and soul bone? For example, the reason why Ain was willing to sacrifice herself to Tang Hao was because she was already married to Tang Hao, and they even had a son. She was also forced into a desperate situation by the Chihiro disease, and under such circumstances, she chose to sacrifice herself. In short, it was very difficult to get a 100,000-year soul beast to sacrifice herself for a soul master. That was extremely difficult. The Titan giant ape and sky azure bull python were special cases. Those two old bootlickers were willing to do anything for Xiao Wu. The Titan giant ape was willing to sacrifice itself to him because of his identity and the future of soul beasts, as well as his promise to revive it. On the other hand, it was for Xiao Wu. They wanted him to take care of Xiao Wu in the human world and ensure her safety. It could be said that these two bootlickers who had been licking Xiao Wu's boots for tens of thousands of years were the best people, no, beasts, in this world aside from Xiao Wu's dead mother. Xiao Wu was actually very lucky to have these two soul beasts licking her. Why didn't you attack me when you knew who I was? Don't you want my soul ring and soul bone? Xiao Wu looked at Lu Yuan with a slightly doubtful gaze. After all, 100,000-year soul ring and soul bone were extremely tempting to soul masters. How could Lu Yuan resist such a temptation? To be honest, after experiencing the incident with Tang Hao, Xiao Wu now had a feeling of distrust towards humans, especially human soul masters. Xiao Wu's heart was extremely resistant towards them. She was rather perplexed as to why Lu Yuan hadn't attacked her. Instead, he had told the Ming and Air Ming to take her back to the Great Stardow Forest. Seeing Xiao Wu's suspicious expression, Lu Yuan snorted and said, "Although 100,000-year soul ring and soul bone are rare, not everyone covets them. If I want a soul ring and soul bone, do you think I won't be able to find them? Is there a need for a little rabbit's soul ring? With that soul ring of yours, your strength is no good, your defense is no good, and your attack power is trash. What's the use of having you? You're not compatible with my golden dragon at all. Only Tang Hao would be interested in you." Lu Yuan pursed his lips slightly, and a hint of disdain appeared on his face. He had a limit Douluo like long Xiaoyao, and as long as he could withstand it, he could even kill a 200,000-year great beast, let alone a 100,000-year soul beast. Why would he care about Xiao Wu's soul ring? Soul rings also had to be well-matched. A soul beast like the soft-bone rabbit was clearly not a top-tier soul beast, so Lu Yuan naturally wouldn't be interested in it. Every single one of his soul rings was of the highest quality. To Lu Yuan, Xiao Wu's soul ring might be a 100,000-year dark golden terraclaw bear, but might not be much better than a 15,000-year dark golden terraclaw bear. The dark golden terraclaw bear was a super soul beast, and a 10,000-year dark golden terraclaw bear was comparable to a normal 100,000-year soul beast. Furthermore, even though the age of a soul ring was important, What was more important was whether or not it was compatible with one's martial soul. He wasn't like the natives of the Douluo world, who were excited when they saw a 100,000-year soul beast. They didn't care if it was suitable or not, and directly put it on themselves. This was because they didn't have much experience, and it was very rare for them to see a 100,000-year soul beast. A 100,000-year soul ring and soul bone was so tempting, and they didn't even consider whether it was suitable or not. It was good enough as long as they could get it. Just like BB Don in the original novel, who led a team to hunt the sky azure bull python and titan giant ape. To be honest, these two soul beasts weren't suitable for BB Don, but she had no choice. After all, in this era, there were only a few 100,000-year soul beasts that were known to people. If even the Pope was like this, one could only imagine how other soul masters would be like. After all, for most soul masters, a 100,000-year soul ring was equivalent to a legendary existence. Otherwise, with Tang Hao's status, he wouldn't have coveted Xiao Wu from the beginning, and even spied on her all the way. After Lu Yuan finished speaking, he didn't care about the expression on Xiao Wu's face. He directly held Gu Yuna's hand and walked in the direction of the two soul beasts. Gu Yuna also shot an indifferent glance at Xiao Wu. This little rabbit really thinks too highly of herself. For Gu Yuna, no matter which soul beast soul ring Lu Yuan wanted, as long as he said the word, Gu Yuna had a way to get it and sacrifice it to Lu Yuan. She just wanted to let Lu Yuan grow quickly. After all, Lu Yuan was the hope of the soul beast race. As long as Lu Yuan could become a god, resurrecting soul beasts would be a piece of cake. Only when Lu Yuan became a god could the soul beast race have a chance to rise. Under such circumstances, would Lu Yuan lack soul rings? Not at all. Furthermore, Xiao Wu's soul ring didn't match him at all. Lu Yuan wouldn't even care about it. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Xiao Wu's face alternated between green and white. She was mocked by Lu Yuan just now, wasn't she? He actually made her soul ring and soul bone sound so worthless. Xiao Wu felt that she couldn't control the anger in her body anymore. At that moment, a noble and cold purple eye glanced at Xiao Wu. It was filled with a terrifying pressure. Xiao Wu's body trembled. She had the feeling that she wanted to crawl on the ground. This pressure was like a heavenly moat. She looked at the silver-haired lady beside Lu Yuan with fear in her eyes. This lady wasn't simple. She was definitely a very powerful soul beast. Perhaps she was even more frightening than DT-on. Xiao Wu's face was pale, and she didn't dare to act up anymore. She lowered her head and didn't make a sound. After all, rabbits were timid, and Xiao Wu wasn't very brave either. Senior Bai Ji, how's the situation? Lu Yuan asked as he looked at the emerald swan, who was treating the two soul beasts. Even though he already knew about the two soul beast situation from Gu Yuna, he still had to ask what he needed to ask. He still had to put on a show. The sky azure bull python is fine. It should be able to recover after resting for a while. However, the titan giant ape's internal organs are severely damaged. Even with my treatment, I'm afraid it won't live for long. Chapter 306. What? Hearing Bicky's words, Xiao Wu immediately raised her head. Her eyes reddened and tears flowed from her eyes. Both the titan giant ape and the sky azure bull python had accompanied Xiao Wu for tens of thousands of years, and they were very close. To Xiao Wu, they were no different from her family. Xiao Wu's heart throbbed with pain upon hearing that the titan giant ape was about to die. This was all because of her. If it weren't for her safety, the sky azure bull python and the titan giant ape wouldn't have attacked Tang Hao, and the titan giant ape wouldn't have been so severely injured. In fact, it wouldn't even have much time left. Xiao was very saddened by this. Xiao Wu immediately began to hate Tang Hao. If it weren't for the fact that he had coveted her soul ring and soul bone, none of this would have happened. Deming wouldn't have been severely injured, and Erming wouldn't have died from his injuries. In fact, he wouldn't have been able to live for much longer. That damn Tang Hao. The thought of Tang Hao made Xiao Wu think of Tang San. Tang Hao was already a titled law, so he didn't need a soul ring. He had coveted her so that he could give her soul ring and soul bone to Tang San. With that in mind, a hint of resentment toward Tang San also welled up in Xiao Wu's heart. For example, Tang San had transferred part of his hatred toward Tang Hao onto Xiao Wu, believing that Xiao Wu was the reason why Tang Hao had been attacked by the Titan giant ape and the sky azure bull python, resulting in his death. Now, Xiao Wu had also transferred part of her hatred toward Tang Hao onto Tang San due to the fact that the Titan giant ape was about to die. After all, he was the one who had benefited in the end. If Xiao Wu were to die, her soul ring and soul bone would all go to Tang San. So how could Xiao Wu not hate Tang San? In this case, Tang San hated Xiao Wu, and Xiao Wu hated Tang San, so there was no possibility of a future between them. Perhaps even Lu Yuan did not expect things to develop to this point. It was really far beyond his expectations. Is that so? After hearing Bicky's words, Lu Yuan's expression remained calm. After all, he had already received the information from Gu Yuna. Lu Yuan turned around and looked at Xiao Wu. Her face was covered in tears, her eyes were red, and her face was filled with sorrow. Lu Yuan didn't regret setting things up. After all, he and Tang San were mortal enemies. However, Xiao Wu was innocent and the only one who was hurt. Now that the Titan giant ape might die, it would be a huge blow to Xiao Wu. Sighing softly, Lu Yuan turned his head away. In any case, the Titan giant ape would be sacrificed to him sooner or later. When the time came, he could just revive the Titan Cirrus after he became a god. However, now is not the time for him to be soft-hearted. The Sky Azure Bull Python and Titan Giant Ape's external injuries had almost completely healed. After this treatment, the Sky Azure Bull Python would be fine as long as it recuperated for a few days. However, even though the Titan Giant Ape's injuries had healed, its internal organs were still a mess. There was nothing Bicky could do. She could only buy it some time. After completing her treatment, Bicky reverted back to her human form. She made her way over to Lu Yuan and Gu Yuna before extending a respectful salute. "I pay my respects to my master." "Yes." Gu Yuna nodded in response. Aside from Lu Yuan, she always acted in a haughty manner toward everyone else. After all, she was the ruler of all soul beasts and the mighty silver dragon monarch. Bicky extended a respectful salute before making her way over to Di Tian's side. She was a little surprised to see Gu Yuna and Lu Yuan holding hands, but she knew what to ask and what not to ask. The matters of their master were not something that subordinates like her could meddle in. All she had to do was do her part. After the treatment, the Sky Azure Bull Python and Titan Giant Ape both rose to their feet. The Sky Azure Bull Python was in relatively good condition, but the Titan Giant Ape had indeed been severely injured. Lu Yuan could see through the Titan Giant Ape's exterior and see through its internal organs, blood vessels, and meridians. If it were a human, it would have most definitely died a long time ago. However, as a soul beast, the Titan Giant Ape would still be able to last for a while. "My master, Master Di Tian, Master Di." The Sky Azure Bull Python extended a respectful salute toward the three of them. From Bicky's words, it wasn't difficult for it to deduce Gu Yuna's identity. After all, it was very intelligent. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been able to set up such a trap. It was just that it didn't think that Tang Hao's desperate attack would be so powerful that the Titan Giant Ape would be severely injured. Perhaps that was its only oversight. Gu Yuna paid it no heed, and Di Tian only gave an indifferent response. It was quite clear that they had all turned the conversation over to Lu Yuan. "Tang Hao is dead, right?" Lu Yuan asked in an indifferent voice. "That's right, master. His body has already been obliterated." The Sky Azure Bull Python replied. Tang Hao's body had been obliterated by a ball of lightning. "Master?" Xiao Wu stared at Lu Yuan with tears in her eyes, and an astonished expression appeared on her face. Deming was referring to him as master? Just who was this man? However, no one was going to tell her. "You're too reckless. You attacked without knowing Tang Hao's strength. If I hadn't gotten someone to severely injure Tang Hao before, I'm afraid that both of you wouldn't have been able to return. Both of you would have been dragged down to the underworld by him. I only told you to bring Xiao Wu back. I didn't tell you to attack them, did I?" Lu Yuan's calm voice came as quite a surprise to the sky azure bull python. Master, I acted on my own accord. Please punish me, the sky azure bull python said. Punish you? You're already in such a sorry state, yet you're still talking about punishment? Focus on recovering from your injuries. Tang Hao's death isn't necessarily a bad thing. After all, he had been stalking Xiao Wu for so long, so he did have to pay a price, Lu Yuan said with a shake of his head. Thank you, Master. The sky azure bull python hurriedly said. It then turned to the titan giant ape beside it with an unconcealable look of grief in its eyes. May I ask how much longer Erming can last? Master Bai Ji? It was also aware that the titan giant ape was about to die, and its heart was filled with remorse and self-blame. If it weren't for the fact that Erming had taken most of the damage from that final attack for it, it wouldn't have sustained such severe injuries. If I were to treat it regularly, it would have been able to survive for another 10 years, Bai Ji replied. Is that so? Thank you for telling me this, Master Bai Ji. The sky azure bull python shook its massive head with tears flowing from its eyes. However, it quickly withdrew its tears and turned to Lu Yuan. All of a sudden, a thought seemed to have occurred to it, and it said, Master, these are the soul bones dropped by that tidal daw. Perhaps they'll be of some use to you. The sky azure bull python opened its mouth, and several streaks of light immediately shot forth from within. Gu Yuna waved a hand through the air, and the 7 streaks of light flew over to hover above her hand in unison. Gu Yuna gently pointed a finger forward, and a burst of water appeared out of thin air to envelop the 7 soul bones. After cleaning them, she handed them over to Lu Yuan. After all, the soul bones were still stained with the sky azure bull python saliva, so they were still a little dirty. Chapter 307. Lu Yuan took the soul bone from Gu Yuna and examined it carefully. Tang Hao was able to defeat 3 titled soul masters in the martial soul palace right after he became a titled Daw. Apart from his 100,000-year soul rings and explosive rings, he also had a perfect set of soul bones. Most of Tang Hao's soul bones were strength-type soul bones, except for his skull. These 7 soul bones were all of good quality. Even a worse one was at least 10,000 year. After all, it was Tang Hao's standard soul bone, so it couldn't be too bad. The one that didn't belong to Tang Hao was even more extraordinary. Among the 7 soul bones, 3 of them stood out. 2 of them exuded a strong and domineering aura. These 2 soul bones were a right arm bone and a left leg bone. The right arm bone was dark black in color, while the left leg bone was dark green in color. It was evident that these 2 soul bones were of relatively high quality. They were very complete, and their auras were domineering. Explosive energy was about to burst from them, and they seemed to be at least 80 to 90,000 years old. Although they weren't as precious as 100,000-year soul bones, they were still very rare treasures. These must be 2 of the Clear Sky Sect's 3 inherited soul bones. Legend had it that the Clear Sky Sect had 3 inherited soul bones. 2 of them were given to Tang Hao, and 1 to Tang Xiao. These 2 soul bones should be the ones that were given to Tang Hao. However, what caught Lu Yuan's attention the most was not the 2 bones, but the right thigh bone. This thigh bone was sparkling and translucent in a bluish-gold color, as if there were specks of starlight shining on it. The strangest thing was that there was a feeling of life flowing through it, as if it really was alive. Lu Yuan had seen many soul bones. He had 3 external soul bones, and he also had a dream demon fox's skull. Lu Yuan had given it to Hulina. He also had a dark golden terror claw bear's right arm bone in his astral ring. In addition to the 7 soul bones that Tang Hao had dropped, Lu Yuan had seen and touched 12 soul bones. It was a terrifying number. Some soul masters would be lucky to see even 1 soul bone in their lifetime, let alone 12. It was like a fantasy story. Among the 12 soul bones, the bluish-gold right leg bone gave Lu Yuan the most peculiar feeling, excluding the 3 soul bones that could be evolved. Not only was it complete, but it also had an aura that the other soul bones didn't have. It had the aura of a 100,000-year soul beast. It seems like this is the right leg bone of Ian's 100,000-year blue-silver emperor. I didn't expect Tang had to keep it with him all the time, Lu Yuan muttered to himself. To be honest, Lu Yuan didn't care much about Tang Hao's 6 soul bones, including the 2 soul bones that had been passed down through the Clear Sky sect. However, this right leg bone caught his attention. After all, this was the first 100,000-year soul bone that Lu Yuan had seen. For a moment, Lu Yuan had the urge to absorb it. However, after thinking about it carefully, Lu Yuan still kept it and put it into his astral ring along with the 6 soul bones. This right leg bone had 2 main uses. One was for flying, and the other was for continuous recovery. After thinking about it, Lu Yuan didn't need to fly because he had the golden dragon wings. On the other hand, the continuous recovery wasn't very useful to Lu Yuan, who had the secret of the power. After all, if he couldn't even recover from his injuries with the secret of the power, this right leg bone would be even more useless. Therefore, he decided to keep it. He could give it to his woman. He couldn't give a 100,000-year soul bone to an outsider. It was more reliable to give it to his woman. After all, a 100,000-year soul bone was a top-grade treasure. However, should he give it to Zhu Zhuqing or Hulina? As for Chihiro Snow, she had the angel set, so she didn't need it. Lu Yuan thought about it. Hulina had already given Zhu Zhuqing the illusory skull. Furthermore, Zhu Zhuqing was an agility-type soul master. With this flying skill, she would be like a tiger that had grown wings. Therefore, he decided to give it to Zhu Zhuqing. After all, Zhu Zhuqing had abandoned everything to follow him, and he hadn't given her a proper gift yet. Thinking back to Zhu Zhuqing's stubborn personality, he knew that with this 100,000-year blue-silver right leg bone, Zhu Zhuqing would definitely become a lot more powerful. After all, Zhu Zhuqing was currently the weakest among his women, so it was time for him to give her a boost. After stowing away the soul bone, Lu Yuan turned to the sky azure bull python, and a gentle look appeared in his eyes as he said, "Thank you." The 6 soul bones that Tang Hao had dropped and the blue-silver right leg bone that Ayin had given him weren't very useful to him, but they would be immensely useful to him when he established his own organization in the future. This was a massive fortune. As expected, killing titled Douluos was the fastest way to obtain soul bones. As long as he killed a titled Douluo with some fame, he would be able to obtain at least 1 soul bone. After all, even Douluo Bo had obtained a skull bone. It would be very difficult to find a titled Douluo who was inferior to Douluo Bo, who was a rank 91 titled Douluo. We should be the ones thanking you, Master. If it weren't for your warning, Xiao would have definitely been in grave danger, the Sky Azure Bull Python said in a sincere voice. All right, I'll accept your goodwill. These soul bones are quite useful to me, but seeing as I've accepted your soul bones, I have to do something. Lu Yuan said in an indifferent voice, judging from your severe injuries, you won't be able to keep up your guard duties. You should find a place to recuperate in the Lake of Life. After all, the life energy here is very abundant, and it'll be very beneficial to your recovery. It'll also be safer for Xiaowu. Lu Yuan turned to Gu Yuna and asked, "Is that all right, Nar? Whatever you say." A warm smile appeared on Gu Yuna's face. She then turned to the soul beasts, and a haughty look appeared on her face as she said, "You can stay in D Tion's territory for now, and it'll be convenient for Bai Ji to treat you. D Tion, I'll leave them to you." "Yes, Master." D Tion nodded in response. "Master, the Sky Azure Bull Python and the Titan Giant Ape have come to the core region. So who should guard the gate outside the Lake of Life?" D Tion asked. Gu Yuna turned to Lu Yuan upon hearing this. "Nah, or what do you think about letting Bear Lord guard the gate? With Bear Lord's powers, he'll be more than capable of guarding the gate," Lu Yuan said as a faint smile appeared on his face. Bear Lord had ambushed Elder Long last time, and this was the perfect opportunity for him to exact revenge. Furthermore, Tang San had witnessed his father being killed by the Sky Azure Bull Python and the Titan Giant Ape, so he would definitely be filled with hatred and would definitely gather a group of people to exact revenge. If he were to discover that Bear Lord was the one guarding the gate instead of the sky azure bull python, his expression would definitely be very interesting. After all, Bear Lord's powers were second only to those of the Limit Realm, and he could even use his Sky Tier claws and Dusk Gold Dread claws to injure Tang San. If that were to happen, Tang San would most likely suffer heavy casualties. Chapter 308. With that in mind, Lu Yuan suddenly felt that this was quite interesting. He was killing two birds with one stone. Not only was he helping Elder Long vent her anger, he was also taking advantage of Tang San. It had to be said that Lu Yuan was very good at setting traps for others. "Whatever you say," Gu Yina said in a gentle voice as she looked at Lu Yuan with eyes full of affection. "Ditian, inform Bear Lord to guard the gate tomorrow," Gu Yina instructed. "Yes, my lord." Ditian could only comply with Gu Yina's orders. However, he glanced at Lu Yuan with a weird look in his eyes. He felt that Lu Yuan was taking revenge on Long Xiaoyao's behalf, and that he was doing this for him. After all, Bear Lord had attacked Long Xiaoyao and left a scratch mark on his chest. Even though Bear Lord was severely beaten by Long Xiaoyao in the end, Lu Yuan definitely remembered that incident. As such, he suggested to Gu Yina that Bear Lord guard the gate a few days ago. Perhaps Gu Yina had a special relationship with Tang San, so she was completely obedient to him. As such, Bear Lord was assigned to guard the gate. Di Tian thought that Tang San was going to beat him to the ground when he became a titled Douluo. He had initially thought that to be a joke, but it appeared that it was very possible. Di Tian shuddered, and a sense of foreboding welled up in his heart. He felt that he was going to be even more unlucky than Bear Lord. After all, he had captured Lu Yuan like a little chick on 2 occasions. Tang San's martial soul was the Golden Dragon, and he possessed such a pure second-generation Golden Dragon bloodline. Once he became a titled Di Tian might not be able to defeat him. After all, his bloodline could repress him. Di Tian murmured in his heart as he looked at Lu Yuan with a warm smile on his face. His heart shuddered as he thought to himself, "I can't afford to offend him." With that in mind, Di Tian felt a little indignant. Gu Yina was clearly the one giving the orders, but he was the one being beaten in the end. Di Tian heaved an internal sigh before turning to leave. Seeing as Gu Yina had given the order, he was going to get that stupid bear to guard the gate so that it wouldn't sleep all day. After Di Tian left, Lu Yuan looked at the sky azure bull python and Xiao Wu and felt that there was no need for him to stay any longer. He decided to leave them to their own devices. "Since that's the case, you can stay here. As for my identity, you can tell Xiao Wu about it yourself. I'll be heading back now," Lu Yuan said. "Yes, master," the sky azure bull python said in a respectful manner. "Yes." Lu Yuan nodded. He held Gu Yina's hand and walked back. He couldn't stay here for more than a few days. He wanted to spend a few more days with Gu Yina. As for Xiao Wu, he would leave her to the sky azure bull python. In any case, she wouldn't be running around anymore. After watching Lu Yuan and the others leave, Xiao Wu couldn't hold back the curiosity in her heart any longer. She ran over to the sky azure bull python's side and asked, "Big Ming, who exactly is this Lu Yuan?" The sky azure bull python faltered slightly before recounting Lu Yuan's story. "Are you talking about Master Lu?" In the underground space at the bottom of the Lake of Life, this place was very quiet, and there were only 2 people here. "Nar, I have to go." Lu Yuan looked at the beautiful woman in front of him, and there was a hint of reluctance in his voice. He had already stayed here for 3 days, and it was time for him to leave. It seemed like Zhu Zhuqing was still worried about him in Shrek Academy. It was just that he had just confirmed his relationship with Gu Yina not long ago, and he was very reluctant to part with her. "You're leaving so soon?" Gu Yina blinked her purple eyes, and there was a hint of longing in her eyes. "Nah." Lu Yuan gently wrapped an arm around Gu Yina's waist and held her tightly in his arms. He took a whiff of Gu Yina's fragrant hair and said, "I can't stay here for too long. There are still many things waiting for me to do in the outside world. Furthermore, You're still injured, so you should recuperate while I'm away. Once I've taken care of everything and you've fully recovered, I'll accompany you on a tour of the continent. What do you think, Nar? Nar, Lu Yuan said. All right then. No matter how reluctant Gu Yuna was, she could only agree to Lu Yuan's request. Furthermore, Lu Yuan couldn't just indulge in his woman. He had to become more powerful as soon as possible. After all, if he wanted to help the soul beast rise to prominence, he had to have enough power to oppose the entire divine realm. Hearing this, Lu Yuan smiled slightly, tilted his head, and gently kissed Gu Yuna's smooth and beautiful face, then kissed her forehead, the tip of her nose, and finally landed on her cherry lips. Lu Yuan's kiss was forceful, and Gu Yuna responded in a frenzy. This was the first time that Gu Yuna had taken the initiative to respond to Lu Yuan. During the previous 2 times, Gu Yuna had been like a little wife who was being bullied and allowed Lu Yuan to manipulate her. But this time, Gu Yuna took the initiative to counterattack. Their lips parted, and their breaths rose and fell slightly. Lu Yuan's eyes were burning with passion. Only the heavens knew how tempting it was to be so close to Gu Yuna. The attraction that came from their bloodline was simply difficult for Lu Yuan to resist. However, Lu Yuan still took the initiative to control himself. Not to mention that he had just pledged his love to Gu Yuna, and it wasn't time for him to do this kind of thing. Moreover, Gu Yuna was still injured, so doing this kind of thing was a little too much. It wouldn't be too late to do it after her injuries were healed. Gu Yuna collapsed in Lu Yuan's arms, and there was still a slight blush on her face. Coupled with her beautiful face that was as white as jade, it was really moving. Lu Yuan couldn't help but peck Gu Yuna's red lips again. Let's go. Resisting the urge to stay, Lu Yuan revealed a smile, then turned around and walked towards the spatial passage not far away. Gu Yuna looked at Lu Yuan's departing figure as if she wanted to engrave his appearance deeply into her heart. After sorting out his emotions, Lu Yuan continued onward and soon saw the sky azure bull python and the others. The sky azure bull python was in good spirits, while the titan giant ape was lying down and basking in the sun. Xiao was leaning against one of the titan giant ape's legs and fiddling with her scorpion braid. As for Di Tian, he didn't seem to be present. However, Lu Yuan knew that he was definitely hiding somewhere and sizing them up. Seeing Lu Yuan arrive, the sky azure bull python immediately extended a respectful salute. My lord. The titan giant ape also wanted to stand up and extend a salute, but it was stopped by Lu Yuan. That's enough, don't salute. Just lie down. Hearing Lu Yuan's words, the titan giant ape nodded before slowly lying down again. When Xiao Wu saw Lu Yuan, a hint of surprise appeared in her eyes. She blinked her large eyes as if she wanted to see through Lu Yuan. What are you looking at, little rabbit? Little rabbit, Lu Yuan asked calmly. Chapter 309. Xiao Wu stroked her scorpion braids as she made her way over to Lu Yuan before carefully inspecting him. Lu Yuan, are you really a golden dragon? What? You don't think I look like one? Lu Yuan asked. No. Xiao Wu shook her head. Then what about now? Lu Yuan narrowed his eyes and released the aura of the golden dragon bloodline. In an instant, an enormous pressure enveloped Xiao Wu's body. Xiao Wu's pretty face turned pale and her body went limp. She was about to fall to the ground. Lu Yuan's bloodline was now far more powerful than that of a second-generation golden dragon, and it was constantly approaching that of a first-generation golden dragon. Furthermore, during his evolution, Lu Yuan had carved out his own path. Perhaps even Gu Yuna was unaware of this. Although Lu Yuan's bloodline resonated with hers, Lu Yuan's bloodline was already different from that of ordinary golden dragons. Even though he was still a golden dragon, he had already undergone significant changes. Even if Lu Yuan managed to evolve his bloodline to the first-generation bloodline, which was the same as the Golden Dragon King's bloodline, his bloodline would definitely be different from the Golden Dragon King's. Lu Yuan's bloodline was unique to him, and he possessed all of the special characteristics of a golden dragon. However, He also possessed some special characteristics that a golden dragon didn't, and this was all due to the pure energy contained within the pure aura divine seed. After all, the pure aura divine seed was imbued with the power of laws, and the power of laws was extremely profound. Lu Yuan grabbed onto Xiao Wu's arm before quickly withdrawing his bloodline pressure. Master, the Sky Azure Bull Python was getting a little anxious. Please forgive Xiao Wu. I'm willing to apologize on her behalf. It turned out that the Sky Azure Bull Python was worried that Lu Yuan would blame Xiao Wu, so it had come to plead on her behalf. It had to be said that the Sky Azure Bull Python really did treat Xiao Wu well. There's no need for that. I'm not that petty. Lu Yuan waved a hand in a nonchalant manner. A faint smile appeared on Lu Yuan's face at the sight of Xiao Wu, and he asked, "Do you still look like one, little rabbit?" "Yes." Xiao Wu looked at Lu Yuan with a trace of fear in her eyes. The pressure that came from the depths of the bloodline of a higher-level creature towards a lower-level creature could not be deceived. From Xiao Wu's point of view, the pressure from Lu Yuan's body was like a mountain pressing down on her to the point of suffocation. With such a terrifying bloodline pressure, there was no doubt that Lu Yuan was a golden dragon in human form. Only the golden dragon, which was the highest level of the dragon clan, could possess such a terrifying bloodline pressure. Haven't you always been very crazy and lawless, little rabbit? What, are you scared now? Lu Yuan pinched Xiao Wu's cheeks and said with a smile that wasn't a smile. He still remembered that this girl had been looking at him with hostility not long ago. Now, the hostility was gone, but there was still a little fear. As expected of a rabbit, just a casual scare, and it was already scared witless. Wu. Xiao Wu's face was bitter as Lu Yuan pinched her cheeks. She wanted to cry, but had no tears. Do you still dare to look at me with that kind of hostile gaze? Lu Yuan flicked Xiao Wu's head, and tears immediately welled up in Xiao Wu's eyes as she wrapped her arms around her head, looking as if she wanted to cry, but was unable to do so. Lu Yuan felt a lot better at the sight of Xiao Wu's reaction. She had been glaring at him with that kind of hostile gaze for a while now, and that had made him very uncomfortable. Now that he had taught her a lesson, he was feeling a lot better. I have some matters to attend to, so I'll be taking my leave. You two can stay here. No one will chase you away. This place is very safe, and the life force energy here is very abundant, so it's very suitable for Xiao Wu to cultivate, Lu Yuan said. What about Erming, Master? Didn't you say that you wanted him to sacrifice himself for you? In Erming's current condition, living is worse than death. He's suffering in agony every day. The Sky Azure Bull Python's voice was filled with grief as it spoke. It was definitely not a good feeling to be so severely wounded that one could only wait for death. The feeling of waiting for death was far more terrifying than death itself. Lu Yuan heaved a faint sigh at the sight of the Titan giant ape's severely wounded state and said, I'm only at rank 46 right now. I'll probably reach rank 50 in a year. During this time, you two could spend more time with the Titan giant ape. After he sacrifices himself, he'll have to stay in my soul ring or my sea of consciousness. When that time comes, you won't have many opportunities to see each other. Perhaps you'll only be able to reunite after I become a god, and that's going to take a very long time. Lu Yuan said in an indifferent voice. Even he didn't know how long it would take for him to become a god. After all, this wasn't like inheriting a god's seat. Instead, he was creating a god's seat, and creating a god's seat was extremely time-consuming. On top of that, the clear Chi divinity seed wasn't that easy to attain. The Sky Azure Bull Python nodded in response to Lu Yuan's words. In that case, it was time for them to enjoy their final reunion. Oh, by the way, I have to remind you that Tang Hao and Tang San are from the Clear Sky sect. The Clear Sky sect is the #1 sect in the human world. Aside from the deceased Tang Hao, the Clear Sky sect has 7 titled Douluos, and one of them is a hyper Douluo. Perhaps they'll come after you because of Tang Hao, so you have to be careful. If you can't beat them, ask DTon for help, and he'll help you. Even though the Clear Sky sect had expelled Tang Hao from the sect, Tang Xiao and Tang Hao's relationship was still good, even though their bones were broken. If Tang Xiao were to receive news of Tang Hao's death, it was very likely that he would protect Tang San. After all, they were blood brothers. Furthermore, even though the Clear Sky sect was a coward and didn't dare to declare war on the Martial Soul Palace, they were definitely willing to take on the Sky Azure Bull Python and the severely wounded Titan Giant Ape. Furthermore, the soul rings and soul bones of the Sky Azure Bull Python and Titan Giant Ape were also very tempting to them. It was inevitable that the Clear Sky sect would turn out in full force to hunt down the two soul beasts, given the temptation of 100,000-year soul ring and soul bone. As such, Lu Yuan felt that he had to warn the Sky Azure Bull Python. The Sky Azure Bull Python's heart jolted upon hearing Lu Yuan's words. "Thank you for your warning, Master." Xiao Wu's expression also changed, and a hint of hatred appeared in her eyes. She was very disgusted by these human soul masters, especially those with the surname Tang. Lu Yuan sighed in his heart at the sight of the hatred in Xiao Wu's eyes. He stroked Xiao Wu's head and said, "However, you don't have to worry too much. The Bear Lord is standing guard outside. With the Bear Lord's powers, even if all of the Clear Sky sect's members are here, they may not be able to enter. This is also one of the reasons why I suggested that the Bear Lord stand guard. Since I've said all that I have to say, I have to go. Little Rabbit, stay here and don't run around. Otherwise, no one will be able to save you next time." Lu Yuan pinched Xiao Wu's cheeks again before he waved his hand and turned to leave. Chapter 310. Their journey out of the Great Star Doe Forest was exceptionally smooth, and there weren't any soul beasts that came out to find trouble with them. Lu Yuan felt that it was probably because Gu Yuna had arranged for Di Tian to escort them in secret. However, Di Tian might have hidden himself, and Lu Yuan didn't discover him. However, Lu Yuan couldn't be bothered with whether he was hiding or not. After stepping out of the Great Star Doe Forest, Lu Yuan immediately rushed towards Soto City. He wanted to return to Shrek and leave with his little kitten. It would be a waste of time if he continued to stay in Shrek, and there was no need for him to do so. If he were to leave, Shrek Academy would completely fall apart. It was actually quite a distance from the Great Star Doe Forest to Shrek Academy, but Lu Yuan was extremely fast. He rushed at full speed, and when there was no one around, he would release his martial soul and use his dragon wings to fly. In less than a day and a half, Lu Yuan had rushed back to Soto City in the afternoon of the second day. This was much faster than when he left. Lu Yuan had a meal in Soto City to fill his stomach. After that, he found a place to take a shower. After all, he was covered in sweat after the long journey. After cleaning himself up, Lu Yuan began to return to Shrek Academy. It was already dark, but the roads were covered by a layer of silver gauze. The bright moon was in the sky, and there were many stars. The night sky was exceptionally beautiful. However, Lu Yuan didn't have the time to appreciate such a beautiful scene. He tapped his toes lightly, and his body drifted into Shrek Academy like the wind. Lu Yuan didn't care about anything else, and returned to his small wooden house. Just as Lu Yuan entered the academy, on the roof of an unremarkable wooden house in Shrek, a black-clothed elder suddenly opened his eyes. "Master is back." He revealed a relaxed look in his eyes. His eyes were like lightning as he sized up everything in Shrek Academy. Lu Yuan was very quick. Before long, two small wooden houses appeared in front of Lu Yuan. One belonged to Zhu Zhuqing, while the other belonged to him. Zhu Zhuqing's wooden house was pitch black, but his wooden house was brightly lit. It was obvious that someone was inside. Lu Yuan lightened his footsteps and walked forward slowly. Through the gap in the door, Lu Yuan could see Zhu Zhuqing's delicate body curled up on his bed. Her arms were hugging his bed tightly, as if she was hugging something important. Occasionally, she sniffed, as if she was trying to smell the scent that Lu Yuan had left behind. Looking at Zhu Zhuqing's adorable wrinkle of her nose, Lu Yuan could not help but smile. Creak! Lu Yuan pushed the door open, and Zhu Zhuqing was startled. She looked up, and saw Lu Yuan smiling at her. Lu Yuan, Zhu Zhuqing's beautiful eyes couldn't help but widen. Her charming face revealed a huge surprise. Her body suddenly bounced up, and with a wisp of fragrance, she crashed into Lu Yuan's embrace. Lu Yuan, I was so worried about you. Zhu Zhuqing hugged Lu Yuan's waist tightly. Her body couldn't help but tremble. Bean-sized teardrops fell from her eyes and wet Lu Yuan's shoulder. Looking at Zhu Zhuqing's trembling body, Lu Yuan couldn't help but feel a sense of pity from the bottom of his heart. His hands suddenly climbed up Zhu Zhuqing's waist and hugged her tightly in his arms. Gently patting Zhu Zhuqing's back, Lu Yuan said in a gentle tone, Zhuqing, it's okay. I'm back. Under Lu Yuan's constant comforting, Zhu Zhuqing finally calmed down. Lu Yuan, Zhu Zhuqing wriggled out of Lu Yuan's embrace. Her lively big eyes flickered with tears. Looking at Lu Yuan, her eyes were filled with deep affection. Kiss me, Zhu Zhuqing said softly. Hearing Zhu Zhuqing's words, Lu Yuan was stunned. Immediately, he lowered his head and covered Zhu Zhuqing's cherry lips. His right foot hooked the door, and gently, he closed the door completely. Zhu Zhuqing was particularly wild this time. She used all her strength to claim Lu Yuan's lips, even leaving teeth marks. She hugged Lu Yuan tightly, as if she was hugging her whole world. The two kissed all the way to the bed, and then both of them fell down. The next day, early morning, the gentle sunlight shone in. Lu Yuan habitually covered his face. Looking at Zhu Zhuqing, who was curled up in his arms, sleeping peacefully like a cat, Lu Yuan could not help but smile. This girl was really lovable. Under her cold appearance, there was a fiery passion and a unique wildness. She was indeed a little wild cat. She was very docile when she was quiet, but once she exploded, she was also very wild. Touching his lips, the skin was still broken, and there were faint teeth marks that had not disappeared. These were all left by Zhu Zhuqing last night. To be honest, this was the first time Lu Yuan had seen Zhu Zhuqing like this. If Lu Yuan had not steeled his will last night and rejected Zhu Zhuqing, what was done would have been done. Zhu Zhuqing was still too young, only 12 years old. Lu Yuan really cannot do it. But then again, although this girl was young, she was really tempting. Lu Yuan also spent a lot of effort to control himself. He had to admit that she was really a little seductress. Lu Yuan was thinking when a pair of jade-like arms suddenly wrapped around his neck. Zhu Zhuqing's pretty face was pressed against his cheek. Her breath smelled like orchids. You slept so late last night. Why didn't you sleep a little longer? You still have a nerve to say that? Lu Yuan slightly glared at Zhu Zhuqing. If this girl had not deliberately tempted him and made him unable to resist, would he have been tossing and turning in bed, unable to sleep? You're the one who didn't want to, not me. Zhu Zhuqing rolled her big eyes, and a rare, playful expression appeared on her cold face. I'm doing it for your own good. You're still using such words to provoke me. Lu Yuan rolled his eyes. Fortunately, Zhu Zhuqing was still young. If it were Hu Laina, he would have devoured her until not even her bones were left. Zhu Zhuqing looked at Lu Yuan's appearance and couldn't help but laugh. Soon after, her tone became gentle. I know you dote on me and love me. To be able to follow you is my life's fortune. Zhu Zhuqing said and kissed Lu Yuan's cheek. Lu Yuan smiled and tightly hugged Zhu Zhuqing's tender body. Lu Yuan, in the future, don't leave me alone, okay? This time, I'm really worried about you. I'm afraid that something will happen to you. If something happens to you, then what should I do? I can only go with you. Zhu Zhuqing's eyes were filled with deep affection. Her tone was gentle, but it was also filled with deep love. And I won't leave you alone. No matter where I go, I will take you with me. I won't let you worry and be afraid anymore. Hearing Zhu Zhuqing's words, Lu Yuan's heart warmed. He stroked Zhu Zhuqing's cheek and said softly, Chapter 311. Lu Yuan, what are you going to do later? Zhu Zhuqing asked as she put on her clothes piece by piece in front of Lu Yuan without hesitation. Oh, don't you have any classes in the academy? Lu Yuan asked as he sized up Zhu Zhuqing's petite figure with interest. No, the dean and that master have been busy treating Tang San for the past 2 days. I haven't had any classes for a few days, Zhu Zhuqing said. Huh. Lu Yuan smiled faintly. It seemed like Tang San's injuries weren't light. However, it made sense when he thought about it. He hadn't recovered from his injuries from Lu Yuan's beating, and he had been injured a few more times. The severity of his injuries might have affected his future potential. Furthermore, he had witnessed Tang Hao die at the hands of the Sky Azure Bull Python, and he had become estranged from his sister, Xiao Wu. This was a psychological and physical blow, and Tang San was probably going to collapse. Even if Tang San could recover, his personality would probably change drastically. Thinking about it, Tang San was really quite pitiful. Lu Yuan actually felt a little embarrassed. However, Lu Yuan extinguished this thought in the blink of an eye. He couldn't be merciful to his enemies. Is Tang San awake? Lu Yuan asked again. He woke up twice. He said that the Sky Azure Bull Python killed the vast heaven Douluo, and that Xiao Wu was 100,000-year soul beast. However, he fainted again after a few sentences. Zhu Zhuqing said, Oh, is that so? Lu Yuan rubbed his chin and asked, What about Dai Mubai? Like I didn't play any tricks on you, did he? To be honest, Lu Yuan really wanted to kill Dai Mubai right now. He didn't care so much. It didn't matter if there was someone secretly coveting him, but he was afraid that he would cause trouble for Zhu Zhuqing. This was something that Lu Yuan would not allow. Rather than leaving him alone to cause trouble, it was better to get rid of him now. As for what the Star Luo Empire thought, it had nothing to do with Lu Yuan. It was just a prince. Would the Xianra Empire attack him? Impossible. Perhaps Davis would even thank him. Furthermore, he had Long Xiaoyao to protect him. What was there to be afraid of? Not really. I don't know why, but Dai Mubai disappeared after returning to the academy. He hasn't shown his face for a few days now, Zhu Zhuqing said. Oh, Lu Yuan was a little surprised. Could it be that Dai Mubai had foresight and knew that he was going to make a move on him? That's impossible. I just had this idea. Long Xiaoyao must have been frightened by what he said when he asked him to stay by Zhu Qing's side. After all, he didn't hide his killing intent at all. Dai Mubai must have been scared, so he ran away in advance. Let's just say that this guy is lucky. I'll deal with him when I meet him in the future. After all, he's just a small character with mediocre talent. Lu Yuan thought for a while and threw Dai Mubai aside. Anyway, Zhu Zhuqing was with him now, so there wouldn't be any danger. Zhuqing, I think it's time for us to leave. Why don't you follow me back to the Martial Soul Palace? We'll meet teacher together. Lu Yuan said as he looked at Zhu Zhuqing's beautiful face. Zhu Zhuqing was shocked when she heard Lu Yuan's words. Lu Yuan's teacher was the Pope of the Martial Soul Palace. Would she accept her? Zhu Zhuqing was a little nervous. Looking at Zhu Zhuqing's expression, how could Lu Yuan not know what she was thinking? He walked to Zhu Zhuqing's side and hugged her waist. He said, Don't worry. Teacher is a very gentle person. She's easy to get along with. She'll definitely like you. Really? Zhu Zhuqing could not help but raise her head and look straight at Lu Yuan with her beautiful eyes. Of course. Lu Yuan scratched Zhu Zhuqing's nose and said, Moreover, an ugly daughter-in-law will have to meet her parents-in-law. You'll have to meet teacher with me sooner or later. You can't run away. After meeting teacher, I'll bring you to meet my father. He raised me since I was young. Without him, I would have died long ago. He's the person I respect and love the most. Speaking of Bibi Dong, Lu Yuan had a strange feeling towards her. He respected her as a teacher, but more than that, she was like a caring big sister. She was gentle, intelligent, and caring for him in every possible way. It was a little difficult to treat her as an elder. Although Bibi Dong was over 40 years old, she was still as elegant as a young girl. It was really hard to treat her as an elder. However, the fellows was someone Lu Yuan truly treated as an elder. Without him, Lu Yuan would have died long ago. He usually called him old man, because they had a good relationship, Lu Yuan decided to find a time to bring the fellows to the Martial Soul Palace. It wasn't safe for him to stay in Notting City alone. After all, he was now a member of the Martial Soul Palace. In the future, he would definitely be at odds with many forces. Those people couldn't touch him, but he was afraid that they would make a move on the fellows. It would be safer to bring him to the Martial Soul Palace. Moreover, the fellows was old. It was time for him to enjoy his life. This was his duty as child. Oh, Zhu Zhuqing nodded. Then, she seemed to have realized something. Her beautiful eyes glanced at Lu Yuan and said, "Who are you calling an ugly daughter-in-law? Am I that ugly?" Zhu Zhuqing glared at Lu Yuan with her beautiful eyes and questioned. "All right, I was wrong. My Zhuqing is the prettiest. She's a natural beauty, peerless in her generation, and devastatingly beautiful." Lu Yuan opened his mouth and praised her. "You only know how to say nice things to make me happy." Zhu Zhuqing glanced at Lu Yuan with her beautiful eyes, but her charming face was full of smiles. Hee hee, Lu Yuan chuckled. He hugged Zhu Zhuqing and kissed her. "Wait a minute." Zhu Zhuqing stopped Lu Yuan. "What's wrong?" Lu Yuan looked at Zhu Zhuqing in confusion. "I haven't finished putting on my clothes yet." Zhu Zhuqing pointed at her half-worn outer clothes. Seeing this, Lu Yuan's eyes lit up. The corner of his mouth curled into a mischievous smile. "Come, Zhuqing, I'll help you put it on." "Ugh, you're naughty." Zhu Zhuqing's shy voice sounded. Holding Zhu Zhuqing's hand, Lu Yuan walked with her to the teacher's office. He was about to leave, so he had to say goodbye. After all, they had to part on good terms. When they arrived in front of Flinder's door, Zhao Wuji and the master were both there. When Lu Yuan arrived, Zhao Wuji happened to see him. His eyes instantly lit up. "Lu Yuan, you're back?" Zhao Wuji's voice was like muffled thunder. His short but sturdy body suddenly stood up with a pleasantly surprised expression on his face. When Flinder and the master heard Zhao Wuji's voice, they also cast their gazes over. Seeing the concern on Zhao Wuji's face, Lu Yuan's mouth curled into a smile. Zhao Wuji was the person he got along with the most in Shrek Academy. After a year, the two of them fought every few days. They were already very familiar with each other, and he was also the only person Lu Yuan acknowledged in Shrek Academy. Chapter 312. Teacher Zhao. Lu Yuan nodded at Zhao Wuji. "Lu Yuan, you're back?" Flinder's face was also full of surprise. After all, Lu Yuan was a student of Shrek Academy, and he was the most outstanding one. Flinder still cared about him. However, the master didn't have any expression on his face. He still had a zombie face and only nodded at Lu Yuan indifferently. Lu Yuan naturally didn't care. Anyway, they hated each other now. As long as the master didn't cause trouble, he couldn't be bothered with him. "Yes, I'm back. I arrived at the academy last night," Lu Yuan said. "Quick, come in, don't stand outside." Zhao Wuji chuckled and invited Lu Yuan into the office. "Lu Yuan, who was the one who took you away that day? He didn't look like a human." Lu Yuan and Zhu Zhuqing had just stood still when the master asked his question in a stiff tone. Furthermore, he asked a question that Lu Yuan didn't want to answer. Ignoring the master at the side, Lu Yuan said to Flinder and Zhao Wuji, "Dean, Teacher Zhao, I might have to leave." "Leave?" Flinder was shocked and hurriedly asked, "Why do you want to leave? Did something happen?" "Yes, it's mainly because I've stayed in the academy for too long. I feel that there's no point in continuing to study. After all, I've already reached rank 46. I want to train on the continent for a while and hone myself." Lu Yuan didn't hide and directly spoke his thoughts. "That's true. You're already rank 46 and can graduate. The academy really can't help you much." Flinder sighed. Although Lu Yuan's words were straightforward, he had to admit that it was true. Shrek Academy really didn't have much use for Lu Yuan, and they couldn't teach Lu Yuan anything. Lu Yuan had been arranging his own cultivation matters since he joined for more than a year. Whether it was him or the other teachers, they couldn't help. On the other hand, Zhao Wuji had been his sparring partner for a year and was the only resource provided by Shrek Academy. Is Zhu Zhuqing going with you? Flinder asked. Of course. Wherever I go, Zhu Qing will follow me. Lu Yuan squeezed Zhu Zhuqing's small hand, his eyes filled with affection. Zhu Zhuqing raised her head and glanced at Lu Yuan. Her heart was filled with sweetness as she silently held Lu Yuan's hand tightly. Hearing this, Flinder sighed. After Lu Yuan and Zhu Zhuqing left, Shrek would be left with only a few big cats and small cats. However, he had no reason to keep Lu Yuan and the others. It was Lu Yuan's freedom to leave. Well, when are you going to leave? Flinder asked. Tomorrow. I'm going to bring Zhu Qing back to see my teacher. It's time for us to set off. Lu Yuan said. Is that so? Fine. I'll personally send you off tomorrow, Flinder said. Thank you, Dean. Lu Yuan said with a smile. As he spoke, he was about to leave with Zhu Zhuqing. Seeing that Lu Yuan was about to leave, the master's voice sounded. There was even a hint of questioning in his voice. Lu Yuan, you haven't answered my question. His tone was very displeased. He seemed to be angry that Lu Yuan was ignoring him. Hearing this, Lu Yuan's gaze was indifferent. He looked at the master without any emotion. Do I need to explain anything to you? Take care of that useless disciple of yours first. You didn't even educate your own disciple properly, and you're still meddling in my business. After he finished speaking, he ignored the master and left with Zhu Zhuqing. What a joke. How could Di Tian's news be revealed to just anyone? How could he tell others about his relationship with those soul beasts? He hadn't even told Zhu Zhuqing about it, let alone the master. This person was destined to be on a different path from him. The next day, at the entrance of Shrek Academy, Shrek's teachers were all gathered at the entrance. Of course, the master wasn't around. However, it was good that he wasn't around. Oscar, Ma Hongjun, and Ning Rongrong were also here. You're leaving? Ning Rongrong blinked and asked. Yes. Lu Yuan nodded. Then where are you going? Ning Rongrong asked. I'm going back to see my teacher. After that, my whereabouts are unknown. I'll just go wherever I go, Lu Yuan said. Oh, Ning Rongrong acknowledged softly. Boss Yuan, are you leaving? Ma Hongjun moved in front of Lu Yuan and pretended to be sad. Boss Yuan, I can't bear to part with you. Get lost, damn fatty. Lu Yuan pushed Ma Hongjun away and said, I think you're afraid that no one will treat you to a meal after I leave, right? He rolled his eyes. Ma Hongjun was such a heartless fellow. He believed that he couldn't bear to part with a woman. Couldn't bear to part with him? Forget it then. Take care. Oscar nodded. His expression suddenly became a little wretched. He flipped his palm, and a few recovery sausages appeared. I don't have anything to give you. I'll just give you a few sausages to eat on the road. Oscar smiled brightly. Get lost. Lu Yuan scolded with a smile. His head was full of black lines. How could he give a few sausages to eat on the road? This Oscar was still so frivolous. Wretched. Ning Rongrong couldn't help but twitch her mouth. There was some disdain in her eyes. Lu Yuan, take care. After the students were done, the teachers also waved their hands and said goodbye to Lu Yuan. Yes, teachers, take care too, Lu Yuan said. He flipped his palm, and a black cloth bag appeared in Lu Yuan's hand. Lu Yuan walked toward Zhao Wuji and handed the black cloth bag to him. He said, Teacher Zhao, I've troubled you to fight with me for the past year. You've helped me improve a lot. I didn't prepare anything before I left. Take this as a token of my appreciation. I hope you won't reject it. Seeing that Zhao Wuji wanted to say something, Lu Yuan stopped him in advance. All right, Zhao Wuji sighed and took the black cloth bag. The thing inside was heavy and very hard. There was also a surge of energy surging through it. This made Zhao Wuji a little surprised. It seemed that this thing given by Lu Yuan was not cheap. Teacher Zhao, before I leave, I'll remind you again. Don't get involved in Master Tang Sanha's matter. It's too dangerous. Moreover, Master Tang Sanha is a little paranoid. In order to prove his theory, he's a little crazy. It's best for you to stay away from him. Lu Yuan forced his voice into a line and transmitted it into Zhao Wuji's ears. Hearing this, Zhao Wuji's body trembled. He looked at Lu Yuan's serious expression and slowly nodded his head. To be honest, Zhao Wuji didn't like Master Tang Sanha. These two people were a little sinister and not magnanimous enough. They didn't suit Zhao Wuji's taste. However, the relationship between Master Tang Sanha and Flinder was very good. Zhao Wuji didn't want to embarrass Flinder. However, after listening to Lu Yuan's words, he decided to stay away from Master Tang Sanha. At the same time, he also wanted to persuade Flinder not to blindly believe in Master Tang Sanha and to have his own judgment. Then I'll take my leave. Take care of yourself. Lu Yuan smiled and nodded to everyone. He took Zhu Zhuqing's hand and floated away. Chapter 313. Lu Yuan left, and he left without hesitation. Holding Zhu Zhuqing's hand, Lu Yuan began his journey back to the Martial Soul Palace. Looking at Lu Yuan's back, Ning Rongrong's eyes flickered. She glanced at Oscar and Ma Hongjun beside her, as if she had made a decision. Old Zhao, what did Lu Yuan give you? Flinder was a greedy person. Seeing how Lu Yuan handed this item to Zhao Wuji so solemnly, he immediately had an idea. With Lu Yuan's status, even an ultimate Douluo called him Lord. This item must be something good. I'm not sure. It feels very long and hard. Furthermore, it has dense energy undulations. Zhao Wuji opened the black bag as he spoke. Suddenly, a dark golden light shone out. This was a dark golden right arm bone, and it was very complete. Not only did it have a forearm bone, but it also had a hind arm bone. It was of very high quality. Furthermore, the entire soul bone exuded an intense, explosive force. The energy undulations caused all the teachers' eyes to light up. Even Ning Rongrong, who was from the Seven Treasures Glazed sect, couldn't help but be attracted by this soul bone. It's actually a soul bone. Flinder's voice became sharp, and his eyes flickered with the color of money. Furthermore, it's a very high-quality strength-type soul bone. It's very compatible with old Zhao. Li Yusong swallowed his saliva and said, the gazes of all the teachers of Shrek Academy were focused on the right arm bone in Zhao Wuji's hand. There was nothing they could do about it, as they were all rogue cultivators with mediocre backgrounds. Other than Flinder and Zhao Wuji, who had a low-quality soul bone, the rest of them had never even seen a soul bone before. Today, they had discovered such a high-quality soul bone, which instantly attracted their attention. There's a note here. Zhao Wuji's eyes were sharp, and he quickly discovered a small note placed together with the soul bone. To Teacher Zhao, this soul bone is the right arm bone of a 15,000-year-old dark golden terraclaw bear. It's in good shape, and its quality is excellent. The dark golden terraclaw bear is known for its offensive power, and it isn't any weaker than the Titan giant ape of the same rank. It's a transcendent soul beast, and it's comparable to a normal 100,000-year soul beast when it's 10,000 years old. This soul bone is a strength-type soul bone, and it's very compatible with Teacher Zhao. I hope you'll use it well, and don't sell it for petty gains. Lu Yuan is here. Zhao Wuji read out the words on the note word by word. Immediately, all the teachers present were shocked. The dark golden terraclaw bear is a transcendent soul beast on par with the Titan giant ape. Old Zhao, Lu Yuan's gift is too great. Li Yusong sucked in a breath of cold air. What a big deal. Flinder was a little surprised as he said, Old Zhao, since Lu Yuan said so, you should absorb it. It would be a pity to sell such a good soul bone. He originally had this thought, but after hearing what was written on the note, he realized that this soul bone came from a 15,000-year dark golden terraclaw bear, a super soul beast that was comparable to the Titan giant ape. In that case, this soul bone was too precious. Only an idiot would sell it. Therefore, it was better to let Zhao Wuji absorb it. After all, this was a gift from Lu Yuan to Zhao Wuji. Yes, Zhao Wuji nodded and held the soul bone tightly in his hand. He was touched. Lu Yuan was really good to him. Ma Hongjun and Oscar looked at each other, and their eyes were filled with envy. Who would want a soul bone? Furthermore, it was a soul bone from a transcendent soul beast like the dark golden terraclaw bear. It was a treasure. How could they not be envious of their humble backgrounds? Even Ning Rongrong was shocked. It was very difficult for the Seven Treasures Glazed sect to produce a soul bone of such quality. A transcendent soul bee soul bone was something that could only be chanced upon. Even though it was only 15,000 year, even a soul bone above 50,000 year might not be comparable to it. The key was that it was so compatible with Zhao Wuji. That was even rarer. However, this showed that Lu Yuan's character was very good. Zhao Wuji had fought with him for more than a year. Although it was tough, it was definitely not comparable to the right arm bone of a dark golden terraclaw bear. However, Lu Yuan still gave it to him. This showed that he cared about his feelings and not just a soul bone. Lu Yuan was really not an ordinary man. He gave away such a precious soul bone just like that. This was really making people more and more interested. In an old wooden hut, Tang Xin slowly opened his eyes. His eyes were bloodshot, and they were still filled with blood vessels. His face was pale, and there was no trace of blood. His lips were slightly cracked, and it seemed like he was seriously injured. At this moment, he opened his bloodshot eyes, and his expression was a little ferocious. "Little San, you're awake?" Master immediately realized that Tang San had woken up and hurried to his side. "Teacher." Tang San's throat moved slightly, and his voice was a little hoarse. Master felt a little uneasy when he looked at him with his bloodshot eyes. However, Tang San was the disciple that Master cared about the most. He was also the disciple that Master had devoted his life to. It could be said that whether or not his theory could be proven to the world all depended on Tang San. Furthermore, he and Tang San had been master and disciple for 6 years, and their relationship was very deep. "Little San, are you all right?" Master asked. Tang San shook his head gently. He moved his body slightly, but he found that his body was a little weak, and he couldn't exert any strength. "Little San, don't move. Let me help you." Seeing that Tang San was struggling, the master quickly helped Tang San up and let him lean against the headboard. "Teacher, my father is dead." Tang San's voice was calm, but there was an indescribable coldness in it. "I know. You told me when you woke up," Master said. "My father was killed by the Titan giant ape and the sky azure bull python. I'm going to kill them to avenge my father. If it weren't for Xiao Wu, my father wouldn't have died." Tang San's calm voice was tinged with a hint of pain, as well as a hint of terrifying hatred. Master's heart jolted slightly at the sight of Tang San's bloodshot eyes. Tang San was currently giving him a sense of danger. Little San, the sky azure bull python, and the Titan giant ape are more powerful than the average titled Douluo. You won't be able to defeat them in your current state, so don't do anything rash. Master hurriedly cautioned as he was afraid that Tang San would be blinded by rage. "Don't worry, teacher. I won't do anything rash," Tang San replied in an indifferent voice. Hearing Tang San's words, the Grand Master looked at Tang San's blood-red eyes, but he couldn't stop worrying. He knew Tang San's personality all too well. He valued relationships very much, and when the people around him encountered major changes, it was very easy for such a person to go astray. He was afraid that Tang San's desire for revenge would lead to irreversible consequences. Chapter 314. Teacher, I don't want to stay in Shrek Academy anymore after I recover from my injuries. This place can't help me much, Tang Sin said softly. All right, this place is indeed of no use to you. Teacher will help you find a place that will be of great help to you. Over there, your strength will definitely increase very quickly. Tang Sin nodded. What place? Tang Sin stared straight at the Grandmaster. Seeing Tang Hao Dai in front of him, struck by the sky azure bull python's lightning and reduced his body to ashes, was a huge blow to Tang San. Tang San was now a little paranoid and even a little twisted. He desperately wanted to find anything that could increase his strength. The Clear Sky Sect? Master asked. The Clear Sky Sect? The number 1 sect in the world? Tang Sin looked at Master with a puzzled expression. What did the Clear Sky Sect have to do with him? Master seemed to have seen through Tang San's confusion and said, "The Clear Sky Sect's inherited martial soul is the Clear Sky Hammer. Do you know the name of your second martial soul? Could it be?" Tang San immediately reacted. "That's right. Your second martial soul is the Clear Sky Hammer. Your father is the Clear Sky Douluo Tang Hao, who once shook the entire continent. Both of you are from the Clear Sky Sect. Although your father's name has been removed from the Clear Sky Sect, his bones are still connected. The current sect master of the Clear Sky Sect is your father's blood brother, your uncle. He has always had a good relationship with your father. After hearing the news of your father's death, he will definitely protect you. You can also learn the true abilities of the Clear Sky Hammer from him," the master said. "My father is from the Clear Sky Sect. My second martial soul is the #1 tool martial soul in the world, the Clear Sky Hammer." Tang San's voice was tinged with a hint of astonishment. He didn't think that his father would have such a powerful background. "Teacher, can you tell me more about my father?" Tang San desperately wanted to know everything about his father, Tang Hao. He wanted to know why a titled Douluo like him would work as a blacksmith in the Holy Soul Village. Tang San had too many questions in his heart. "All right, I'll tell you what I know." Master began to slowly explain. "After that, your father became a titled Douluo and used his Clear Sky Hammer to defeat 3 titled Douluo from the Martial Soul Palace. Even the Pope was killed not long after he returned to the Martial Soul Palace, and the name of the Clear Sky Do resounded throughout the continent." The master spoke slowly with a hint of reverence in his tone. After all, he used to regard Tang Hao as his idol. This was because Tang Hao had dared to swing his hammer at Chihiro Disease, the Pope of the Martial Soul Palace. Perhaps this was something that the master had always wanted to do, but was unable to do. Therefore, after Tang Hao did it, the master regarded him as his idol. This conjecture was not impossible. "My father is actually so powerful." Hearing the master talk about Tang Hao's glorious deeds, Tang San felt proud. "However, my father is a titled Douluo. Why would he live in a small village and get drunk every day?" Tang San was very perplexed. If his father was so powerful, then why did he always look so dejected? He didn't look like a titled Douluo at all. "I'm not sure about that either. Perhaps it has something to do with your mother," the master said. Aside from the Martial Soul Palace and the Clear Sky Sect, no one knew much about Tang Hao's past, and the master only knew some rumors. "Is that so?" Tang San blinked his crimson eyes, and a thought suddenly occurred to him. "Teacher, if my father is so powerful that he could defeat 3 titled Douluos, then why was he killed by the Sky Azure Bull Python and the Titan Giant Ape so easily? If Tang Hao really was as powerful as the master described him to be, then the battle shouldn't have been like the one in the Great Star Do Forest, where he was completely dominated by the 2 soul beasts. If it weren't for the fact that he put his life on the line, he wouldn't even have been able to harm a single hair on the 2 soul beasts." This was why Tang San was very perplexed. "That's because your father was already severely injured. In addition, the Titan Giant Ape and the Sky Azure Bull Python are the overlords of soul beasts, so your father naturally wasn't a match for them," the master said. "My father was already severely injured? What's going on?" Tang San asked. The master told him about how after Tang San was beaten up by Lu Yuan, Tang Hao helped Tang San find trouble with Lu Yuan, and how he was severely injured by the Dragon Emperor claw behind Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan. Tang San's crimson eyes flashed with hatred. "So you had a part to play in my father's death too. Don't do anything rash, little San. The Dragon Emperor Douluo behind Lu Yuan is too powerful. Even your father wasn't a match for him. Even the Clear Skies sect doesn't dare to offend him. Furthermore, he also has twin martial souls like you, so he's much more powerful than you. It'll be very difficult for you to catch up to him," the master said. "He also has twin martial souls." Tang San's voice was filled with astonishment. Wasn't it said that twin martial souls were extremely rare? Why did Lu Yuan have twin martial souls now? Wasn't his martial soul the golden dragon? His second martial spirit was awakened after birth. As for the situation, I'm not too sure either. However, little 3, you shouldn't provoke him. This lad's methods are too ruthless. I'm afraid that he'll harm you." Recalling what Lu Yuan had said and his style of doing things, the Grand Master was a little worried. He was afraid that Tang San would recklessly provoke Lu Yuan, only to be killed by Lu Yuan. The Grand Master believed that Lu Yuan would definitely do something like that. Don't forget what happened to Tang San and Tang Hao, which one of them did not end up lying in bed for a few days. Furthermore, Long Xiaoyao was too powerful. He had 200,000-year soul rings, and it would be difficult to find a match for him in the entire continent. If Tang San were to mess around, it would be like hitting a rock with an egg. "I understand, teacher." Tang San nodded, but he had already made up his mind. He wouldn't let go of anyone related to Tang Hao's death. The Sky Azure Bull Python, the Titan Giant Ape, Lu Yuan, and even Xiao Wu. He would make them all pay the price. Yes. The master nodded when he saw Tang San's appearance, and felt a lot more at ease. "Little San, you should rest more. Once you've recovered, I'll personally take you to the Clear Sky sect. I'll definitely help you become stronger as soon as possible." The master squeezed out a smile on his stiff face. "All right. Thank you, teacher." Tang San nodded. "You've slept for so long and haven't eaten anything. I'll go get you a bowl of porridge. Your body is too weak, so you can't eat oily food. Porridge is just right." The master rubbed Tang San's head and reminded him before he walked out of the room. Tang San raised his right hand slightly when he saw the master leave, and the blue-silver grass appeared in his hand. The blue-silver grass was different from before. On the blue-silver-purple vines, there was a pure black light spreading from the roots to the leaves. Chapter 315. Old Zhao, is Ning Rongrong gone too? Flinder asked as he looked at Zhao Wuji. And Zhao Wuji nodded and said, "I went to her dormitory, and there was only a letter inside. She's long gone." Flinder took the envelope, took out the letter, and read it carefully. This girl returned to the Seven Treasures Glaze sect and said that she came for Lu Yuan. Since Lu Yuan isn't here, there's no need for her to stay. Flinder sighed with a somewhat bleak expression. "Is that so?" Zhao Wuji took the letter from Flinder's hand. Sure enough, the contents were the same as what Flinder said. "Lu Yuan, this brat, has such great charm." Zhao Wuji clicked his tongue and sighed. According to what he knew, other than Zhu Zhuqing, Lu Yuan had a relationship with another girl. He even got together with that girl after leaving school for 3 days. Now, this Ning Rongrong came specifically for him. This little girl's popularity was too good. He's handsome, talented, and most importantly, has a very high status. How can such a man not be liked by girls? Flinder glared at Zhao Wuji. He had already seen through everything. In this Douluo continent, women liked men in 3 aspects. The first was appearance, which was the most important. After all, appearance was the most important thing. Regardless of whether it was a man or a woman, they were all visual creatures. Everyone liked good-looking people. The second factor was strength. This was especially true for soul masters, as strength was sometimes more important than one's appearance. The third was power and status. For example, a soul master from the upper 3 sects would definitely be much more popular than a grassroots soul master of the same level. If a man was handsome, strong, and had a deep background, why would he be afraid of not being able to find a wife? It didn't exist. As for money, in the Douluo continent, as long as one had strength and status, they would definitely not lack money. Therefore, money was the least important. However, if the money reached a certain level, such as the level of the Seven Treasures Glaze sect, it would be a different story. But overall, it was the 3 points above. One of the reasons why Shrek's teachers couldn't find wives was because there were too few female soul masters. The other reason was that they weren't unsightly, but they definitely weren't good-looking. Furthermore, they were all independent soul masters and didn't have any power to rely on. They were even short on gold soul coins, so it was quite difficult for them to find a suitable female soul master as a partner. For example, Zhao Wuji had a burly appearance and a somewhat fiendish expression. Otherwise, he wouldn't have the title of a movable wisdom king. Which outstanding female soul master would fancy him? As for the master, he was an exception. Sometimes, Lu Yuan even wondered if Bibi Dan and Lu Erlong had their intelligence lowered. They actually liked the master. It was really incomprehensible. This grandmaster could be said to have none. His looks were average, and his strength was lacking. As for his background, he was an abandoned disciple of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect. He was mocked in the sect, and he was attracted to these two outstanding women just because of his wisdom. One had to know that this was the Douluo continent, a place where strength was revered. It was a little far-fetched to use intelligence to attract them. Furthermore, the master was a typical researcher, and his EQ wasn't high. After hearing Flinder's words, Zhao Wuji sighed. Indeed, compared to Lu Yuan, wasn't he just asking for trouble? Thinking of Lu Yuan's peerless charm and breadth of mind, Zhao Wuji had to admit that he had never seen such a young man in his life. Touching his right arm, Zhao Wuji's gaze was gentle with a trace of gratitude. After absorbing this soul bone, his soul power had directly broken through by 1 rank, and he was now at rank 77. Furthermore, this arm bone had given him a powerful skill that allowed him to defeat Flinder. In the past, Flinder had always suppressed him, but now, Zhao Wuji's strength had surpassed Flinder's. All right, you said that someone else left? Zhao Wuji asked. Yes, Xiao Gang informed me today, and left with Tang San. Excluding the missing Dai Mu Bai, our academy only has Oscar and Ma Hongjun left. After saying this, Flinder sighed. Old Zhao, do you think there's still a need for our Shrek Academy to continue? Flinder looked a little dejected. The current Shrek Academy had very few students, and they were severely lacking in funds. He really didn't know if they should continue. Looking at Flinder's desolate appearance, Zhao Wuji also sighed helplessly. He was also at a loss in his heart. With Shrek in its current state, was there really a need to continue? They originally thought that this batch would be the most elite batch, but in the end, some left, some disappeared, and Shrek Academy was about to become an empty shell again. Zhao Wuji also felt very uncomfortable in his heart. But if they didn't continue to establish an academy, then where should his old brothers go? In a luxurious hotel suite, Lu Yuan stretched lazily on the sofa. He was holding a self-created soul skill in his hand and was trying to figure it out. After more than 2 years, he was really about to complete his self-created soul skill. He had already thought of the framework and rough idea of a powerful technique that fused superb movement techniques and powerful attacks into one. He was just a little bit away from this self-created soul skill. In Lu Yuan's heart, this self-created soul skill was much more powerful than the spear technique, vast ocean that he had created. He had started to think about it before going to the life ruins, and now he had spent more than 2 years polishing it. He was about to see the results. The bathroom door was pushed open. Zhu Zhuqing was wearing a bathrobe that covered her exquisite body. She was holding a clean towel in her hand and was wiping her wet long hair. You're done bathing? At this moment, Zhu Zhuqing's charming face was bright red. Perhaps it was caused by the hot air, but some of her wet long hair gathered together and stuck to Zhu Zhuqing's cheeks. Her long hair was jet black and translucent. Together with Zhu Zhuqing's fair skin that was tinged with pink, it was quite a unique flavor. Hearing Lu Yuan's words, Zhu Zhuqing nodded. She walked to Lu Yuan's side and handed the towel in her hand to Lu Yuan. Then she lay down and placed her head on Lu Yuan's lap. Lu Yuan took the towel and helped Zhu Zhuqing wipe the water droplets on her long hair bit by bit. We're about to reach Martial Spirit City, right? Zhu Zhuqing asked. This is where Jialing Pass is located, which is considered the border of the Heaven-Do Empire. Not far away, we'll reach Martial Spirit City. It'll take at most 2 days. Lu Yuan helped Zhu Zhuqing wipe her long hair seriously as he smiled. Zhu Zhuqing softly acknowledged. Feeling Lu Yuan's current actions, a smile appeared on her charming face. This feeling was really good. Lu Yuan. Suddenly, Zhu Zhuqing seemed to have thought of something and called out softly. Chapter 316. What's wrong? Zhu Qing. Lu Yuan's hand that was wiping Zhu Zhuqing's hair paused as he asked. I am still a little nervous, Zhu Zhuqing said softly. She turned her head slightly and leaned against Lu Yuan's left hand that was by her ear. Lu Yuan couldn't help but laugh when he heard this. So this girl is still worried about me even now. It's all right. Teacher is really easy to get along with. Moreover, even if it doesn't work out, don't you still have me? I'll help you. Lu Yuan said as he gently caressed Zhu Zhuqing's face. Yes, Dai Mubai and I were once engaged. Will Her Holiness have any opinions about this? After all, you are her disciple and have a noble status. However, I have an engagement. Zhu Zhuqing's tone was gentle, but there was a hint of worry that couldn't be erased. Furthermore, our Zhu family has been connected by marriage with the Star Luo imperial family for generations. Our relationship with the Martial Soul Palace has never been harmonious. I'm really a little afraid that Her Holiness will mind my background, Lu Yuan. Zhu Zhuqing rubbed her face against Lu Yuan's palm, her delicate body trembling slightly. Hearing this, Lu Yuan's brows furrowed slightly. He didn't think that Zhu Zhuqing was actually hiding these things in her heart. He thought that Zhu Zhuqing was really as happy as she appeared on the surface. He didn't think that she would have so many worries. He had neglected his duty. He had been sticking to her every day and hadn't discovered her worries. He only found out when she revealed them at this moment. Silly girl, you're thinking nonsense again? Lu Yuan put down the towel with his right hand and pushed Zhu Zhuqing's half-dried hair behind her ear. He looked at Zhu Zhuqing's lively big eyes with a gentle smile on his face. I'll tell you the truth. Teacher already knows about our matters. Don't forget, my senior sister stays by my teacher's side. How could she not know about our matters? As for the marriage contract, teacher has never cared about those superficial things. As long as your feelings for me are real, as long as you're thinking about me, teacher won't care too much about it. She's the first female pope in the history of the Martial Soul Palace. She's very broad-minded. Why would she care about these things? Also, you said that your Zhu clan and the Star Luo imperial family have been connected by marriage for generations. However, the Zhu clan is the Zhu clan, and you are you. You are Zhu Zhuqing, and you're Lu Yuan's little kitten. You have nothing to do with the Zhu clan, so you don't need to worry about these things. Even if teacher doesn't agree to our relationship, it's useless. No one can change my decision. Since I've decided on you, you, Zhu Zhuqing, will be mine for the rest of your life. You just need to come with me to meet teacher and do your own etiquette. Leave the rest to me. Do you understand? Lu Yuan smiled as he pinched Zhu Zhuqing's nose. Got it, Zhu Zhuqing replied in a small voice. The nervousness on her face disappeared without a trace. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, she felt a lot more at ease. Stroking Zhu Zhuqing's face, Lu Yuan said with a serious expression, Zhuqing, you're my woman. I'll take care of everything for you. You just need to hide behind me and be happy every day. You don't need to think so much. I'll take care of these things for you. Zhu Zhuqing nodded. She looked at Lu Yuan with eyes full of love. Lu Yuan, Zhu Zhuqing called out softly. What's wrong, Zhuqing? Lu Yuan looked at Zhu Zhuqing. He didn't know what this little kitten wanted. Let's go to sleep, Zhu Zhuqing said with a red face. Sleep? But your hair isn't dry yet? Lu Yuan said. But I want to sleep. Zhu Zhuqing tilted her head slightly. There was a hint of coquettishness in her voice. All right then. Seeing Zhu Zhuqing's rare coquettish attitude, Lu Yuan naturally couldn't refuse. He gently wrapped his right hand around Zhu Zhuqing's neck and hugged her horizontally into his arms. Then go to sleep early. We still have to wake up early tomorrow, Lu Yuan said with a smile. Is this Martial Spirit City? It's really bustling. On the wide and flat streets, Lu Yuan held Zhu Zhuqing's hand as they strolled. Zhu Zhuqing couldn't help but sigh when she saw the bustling scene of Martial Spirit City. It's all right. It's all thanks to teacher's governance. Lu Yuan smiled. Bibidan's methods were indeed very powerful and capable. Under her leadership, the entire martial spirit palace was thriving and becoming much stronger. I think His Holiness, the Pope, must be a very capable person in power. Zhu Zhuqing nodded gently. The governance of a country could be seen from the people under its governance. Martial Spirit City was exceptionally prosperous. There were all kinds of shops, and the streets were clean. It could be said that this was the first time Zhu Zhuqing had seen such a city. It was much better than Douluo City. Of course, Lu Yuan replied softly. He had never doubted Bibidon's ability. Let's go, Zhuqing. We should go to the Pope's palace to meet teacher as soon as possible. She must already know that we're here, Lu Yuan said. Bibidon's eyes and ears were everywhere in Martial Spirit City. Even the slightest sign of trouble could not be hidden from her. Bibidon would probably know the moment Lu Yuan entered the city. Zhu Zhuqing nodded gently and allowed Lu Yuan to hold her hand as they continued forward. Halt! This is an important place. You cannot trespass. Lu Yuan and Yi Ci were stopped by the paladins. These are the paladins that guarded the Pope's palace. Every one of them was at least a soul ancestor. They were one of the most elite troops in the Martial Spirit Palace. Of course, there were not many of them. Lu Yuan usually appeared in the Pope's palace and the Elder's palace. He rarely went out. In addition, the paladins were rotated every day. It was normal that they did not recognize Lu Yuan. After being stopped, Lu Yuan took out his token. It was a 5th-ranked token that was second only to the Pope's. In the entire Martial Spirit Palace, only he and Hulina had such a token. His identity was self-evident. As for exposing his identity, the paladins were able to protect the Pope's palace because every member was loyal to the Pope. They would never betray him, so there was no need to worry about his identity being exposed. As for the Angel's token, it could be used to mobilize the elders. It had too much power. A mere paladin had no need to take it out. Greetings, Sir Yuan. Seeing the token in Lu Yuan's hand, the paladin immediately bowed and said, Sir Yuan, His Holiness the Pope has ordered for you to immediately go to the Pope's palace. Got it. Guard the place well. Lu Yuan took back the token and pulled Zhu Zhuqing towards the Pontiff's palace. Chapter 317. Reporting to Your Holiness, young Master Yuan is already waiting outside. In the Pope's palace, a heavily armored paladin knelt on one knee and reported the news of Lu Yuan's return. Oh, let him in. Upon hearing the news of Lu Yuan's return, Bibidon's noble and dignified face revealed an imperceptible smile as she spoke. Yes, Your Holiness. Under the paladin's notification, Lu Yuan and Zhu Zhuqing stepped into the Pope's palace together. Looking at Bibidon sitting on the Pope's throne, Lu Yuan's heart was a little moved. They hadn't seen each other for more than 2 years, and his teacher was still so peerless. Time seemed to have left no trace on her body. On the contrary, due to the brewing of time, there was a mature and unique fragrance like old wine. The more it was stored in the cellar, the more delicious it became. Bibidon still looked like a young girl, but her body was filled with a mature charm. Her pair of pink eyes seemed to be able to speak, moving people and making people feel pity for her. Coupled with her queen-like majesty, weakness, and strength, these two characteristics were perfectly combined on Bibidon's body. This temptation to men was simply indescribable. Lu Yuan had to admit that Bibidon was really a rare beauty. Cher's beauty was probably inherited from his teacher's genes. Otherwise, with the Chihiro disease, he was afraid that he wouldn't have been able to give birth to such a fairy-like person like Cher. Beside Bibidon were naturally the two great door gods, the chrysanthemum Douluo and the ghost Douluo. No matter where Bibidon went, these two people basically followed Bibidon. They were Bibidon's top 2 lackeys. Teacher, looking at Bibidon above, Lu Yuan bowed slightly. Greetings, Your Holiness. Zhu Zhuqing, who was beside Lu Yuan, also bowed slightly. Logically speaking, when the ordinary Martial Soul Palace staff saw the Pope, they had to kneel, but Lu Yuan didn't have this hobby. So he bowed instead. And with Lu Yuan's status, There was no need for him to kneel. As for Zhu Zhuqing, she naturally followed whatever Lu Yuan did. You're willing to come back? Looking at the disciple below, who had obviously matured, Bibidon's heart was slightly moved. This young man in front of her was her most beloved disciple. In her heart, Lu Yuan's status was higher than Hulina's. In Bibidon's eyes, Lu Yuan was a flawless, perfect existence. He was talented, hard-working, valued relationships, and respected his teacher. If there was one thing that Bibidon had to criticize, it would be that he was a bit of a playboy. Not only did he get his hands on her daughter and disciple, but he also got involved with other girls. However, Bibidon didn't want to care so much. As long as Nana and Cher didn't have any objections, as a teacher and mother, she naturally didn't have any objections. As long as the younger generation was happy, it was fine. After hearing Bibidon's words, Lu Yuan couldn't help but chuckle. He said, "After staying outside for so long, I missed you very much, teacher. So, when I gained some results from my training, I specially rushed back without stopping." Really? After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Bibidon asked with a half-smile. "Of course," Lu Yuan said. Hearing this, Bibidon's face bloomed with a beautiful smile. Suddenly, the majestic aura disappeared by more than half and was replaced by gentleness and peace. "You missed an old woman like me? I think you missed your senior sister." "I missed my senior sister, but I also missed you, teacher. You are not an old woman. You are young. You look no different from those young girls. On the contrary, you have a mature and intellectual temperament. It can be said that you are devastatingly beautiful. You are much more attractive than them." Lu Yuan said seriously. Hee. Bibidon chuckled. Her pair of beautiful eyes couldn't help but glance at Lu Yuan. She said, "You brat, you only know how to say nice things to make me happy. Your senior sister and the others were tricked by you like this. You have a glib tongue. You are not serious." Hearing this, Lu Yuan was stunned and didn't know what to say. The main thing was that Bibidon's glance really made him stunned. "The girl beside you is Zhu Zhuqing, right?" Bibidon asked. "Yes." After listening to Bibidon's words, Lu Yuan instantly reacted and said immediately. Bibidon's beautiful eyes looked straight at Zhu Zhuqing. That strength and pressure made Zhu Zhuqing's heart jump, and her delicate body couldn't help but tremble slightly. Noticing Zhu Zhuqing's abnormality, Lu Yuan immediately grabbed Zhu Zhuqing's small hand and held it in the palm of his hand. Feeling the warmth from his hand, Zhu Zhuqing's heart suddenly seemed to have something to rely on, and her whole person slowly calmed down. Seeing Lu Yuan holding Zhu Zhuqing's hand, Bibidon's eyes flashed with a touch of sadness, as if she thought of something. Zhu Zhuqing had her disciple to rely on, but she didn't have anything to rely on. She used her frail body as a girl to shoulder all the wind and rain by herself. The person she loved couldn't give her any protection, and on the contrary, she had to protect him. Bibidon's eyes flashed with a trace of complexity. However, Bibidon was Bibidon after all. The sadness in her eyes disappeared in a flash, and she looked at Zhu Zhuqing and Lu Yuan standing together with a look of approval in her eyes. This Zhu Zhuqing had a soul power of rank 37 at the age of 12, and her martial soul was the superb 9 lives lynx. Furthermore, her looks weren't bad, and her personality was pure and cold. Most importantly, her relationship with her disciple seemed to be pretty good. She could be considered a good match. As for the marriage agreement with the Star Luo royal family, that was nothing. It was just a marriage agreement, and it was fine as long as it was canceled. She's a pretty good girl, and she's worthy of you. Bibidon retracted her gaze and said plainly, "Thank you very much, teacher." Lu Yuan hurriedly expressed his thanks. After hearing Bibidon's words, he knew that the matter between him and Zhu Zhuqing was settled. Even if Bibidon didn't agree, he still wouldn't give up on Zhu Zhuqing. However, if Bibidon agreed, he would naturally be happier. This was because no matter what, Bibidon was one of the few people he cared about in his heart. Her opinion was still very important. Now that Bibidon had agreed, It was naturally a happy ending for everyone. Lu Yuan couldn't help but smile when he thought of this. Seeing his disciple, who had always been calm, reveal such a surprised smile, Bibi Dong was also stunned. It seemed that this kid really loved this girl, called Zhu Qing. Bibi Dong said, "Since you're back, go back and see your senior sister. She's been missing you so much these 2 years that she's become ill. To be honest, if you didn't come back, I would have sent people to kidnap you." Chapter 3:18. Senior Sister. Hearing Bibidon's words, Lu Yuan's heart trembled. Hulina's charming and beautiful face appeared in front of Lu Yuan's eyes. Thinking about how Hulina had been sitting in the pavilion in the middle of the lake every day for the past 2 years, looking forward to his return, Lu Yuan's longing for her surged like a tide. He just wanted to see this senior sister who loved him to the bone and then hold her tightly in his arms. "Teacher." Lu Yuan had just opened his mouth when he was interrupted by Bibi Dong. "You want to see your senior sister?" Bibi Dong asked. "Yes, teacher," Lu Yuan said. "Then you go. You don't have to stay here for long. I'll return to the pavilion in a while," Bibi Dong said. "Okay, teacher. I'll take my leave first." Lu Yuan quickly bowed and pulled Zhu Zhuqing's hand to walk outside. "Wait," Bibidon's voice sounded. "Is there anything else, teacher?" Lu Yuan's footsteps paused, and he turned around slightly. He looked at Bibidon's eyes with some doubt. "You go. Zhu Zhuqing stays," Bibi Dong said. Hearing this, Zhu Zhuqing was shocked and subconsciously held Lu Yuan's hand tightly. Lu Yuan subconsciously pulled Zhu Zhuqing behind him. He didn't understand what Bibi Dong meant. Didn't he already agree to the matter between him and Zhu Zhuqing? Why did he still want Zhu Zhuqing to stay? Seeing Lu Yuan's vigilant look, Bibi Dong couldn't help but find it funny. Was this disciple of his worried that he would do something to Zhu Zhuqing? "I only asked Zhu Zhuqing to come down and talk to me. I won't make things difficult for her. I'll bring her to the island in the middle of the lake later. She'll live with us. I think you'll be worried about letting her live alone," Bibi Dong said. "Really? Teacher? Can Zhu Qing stay with us?" Lu Yuan's tone carried a hint of surprise. Only he, Hulina, and Bibi Dong lived on Lake Heart Island. Even Chihiro Snow had never been here before. Now that Bibi Dong was willing to let Zhu Zhuqing live here, how could Lu Yuan not be happy? After all, he was the only person Zhu Zhuqing was familiar with in this huge martial soul palace. Lu Yuan couldn't be at ease if she was alone. Zhu Zhuqing was a sensitive girl. She looked strong and stubborn, but sometimes she was very fragile. After knowing her for so long, Lu Yuan was very clear about this. Therefore, he naturally wanted Zhu Zhuqing to live with him. In fact, if Bibi Dong didn't say so, he would have brought Zhu Zhuqing to the pavilion in the middle of the lake. He would have acted first and reported later. He didn't expect Bibi Dong to take the initiative to have this idea. He had to admit that it was indeed wonderful. "Has teacher ever lied to you?" Bibi Dong said gently. "That's true," Lu Yuan said to himself. "Then Zhuqing, you stay here and chat with teacher. I'll leave first," Lu Yuan said as he held Zhu Zhuqing's hand. Lu Yuan. Zhu Zhuqing held Lu Yuan's hand tightly. Although Bibi Dong appeared to be very calm and had a good attitude, she was still a little nervous if she was alone. "Don't worry. Since teacher said it's just a chat, then it can't be fake. Moreover, I'll let Elder Long stay. Don't be afraid, Zhuqing," Lu Yuan said softly. At the end of his words, his lips trembled slightly. His voice formed a line and entered Zhu Zhuqing's ears. "All right then." Zhu Zhuqing nodded gently. Since Lu Yuan said so, she could only accept it. "Then I'll leave first." Gently patting Zhu Zhuqing's head, Lu Yuan turned around and left the Pope's palace. His figure flashed and quickly rushed toward the pavilion in the middle of the lake. "Zhu Zhuqing, right? Come, I have a few questions to ask you." Bibidon's clear and melodious voice sounded softly. Lu Yuan's figure was as swift as lightning, and the vast surface of the lake could not stop him in the slightest. Just like that, he stepped on the waves, and the wide surface of the lake was like flat ground to him. Lu Yuan's double pupils flickered. His gaze swept around. There was no one in the pavilion in the middle of the lake. Hulina's figure wasn't there. Lu Yuan raised his eyebrows slightly and began to rush toward the pavilion not far away. In Hulina and Lu Yuan's room, Hulina leaned against the headboard of the bed. Her knees were slightly bent. Her jade-like arms were tightly hugging her knees. Her jade-like beautiful face was casually placed on top of them. Her short golden hair fell to her shoulders. Hulina blinked her somewhat seductive big eyes. Her cherry lips opened slightly as she whispered softly, "Junior brother, when will you come back? Senior sister really misses you. I've already practiced the Phoenix Dance 6 illusions that you taught me to great success, but you haven't come back yet." Hulina's tone was filled with deep yearning. Lu Yuan, who had just arrived at the door, couldn't help but stop in his tracks. His eyes were filled with gentleness. "Have you been so happy with Chihiro Snow and Zhu Zhuqing that you forgot about me?" Hulina muttered. Her big eyes were filled with hidden bitterness. Some time ago, she seemed to have heard from the elders of the Martial Soul Palace that Lu Yuan and Chihiro Snow were together. After the head consecrator found out, he was very happy. He even ate 2 more bowls of rice. And that Zhu Zhuqing, it seemed like she was always by Junior Brother's side. She could see him every day. She was the only one who stayed in the empty room every day. Stinky Junior Brother without a conscience. Hulina couldn't help but softly curse. Who are you calling without a conscience? Just as Hulina was grumbling to herself, the door suddenly opened, and Lu Yuan, who was dressed in white, slowly appeared. "Junior brother?" Hulina slightly raised her head. Seeing that familiar figure, she couldn't help but mutter to herself. She suspiciously rubbed her eyes. When she looked again, Lu Yuan's tall and straight figure was still in front of her. "What's wrong, senior sister? Don't you recognize me?" Lu Yuan smiled. That smile was like a ray of sunlight in the dark night, instantly illuminating Hulina's entire world. "Junior brother." Hulina was stunned. Then, a huge surprise surged in her heart. Her body instantly bounced up and suddenly pounced on Lu Yuan. A burst of fragrance swept over. Hulina's delicate body directly sank into Lu Yuan's embrace. A pair of jade arms tightly wrapped around Lu Yuan's neck. Her slender white long legs were tightly tied around Lu Yuan's waist. Hulina's entire body was like an octopus, tightly wrapped around Lu Yuan's body. "Junior brother, I missed you so much." Hulina's eyes were red. Her soft voice contained an extremely rich feeling. "Senior sister, I missed you too." Lu Yuan's left hand tightly wrapped around Hulina's waist. His right hand gently patted Hulina's back. After 2 years, seeing Hulina again, even he felt a little emotional. Chapter 319. Hulina's body was tightly wrapped around Lu Yuan's body, her tender body slightly trembling. Seeing Lu Yuan again, for Hulina, was really an incomparable surprise. She had missed Lu Yuan for more than 2 years, worried about him, and the yearning in her heart had long been engraved into her bones. What they met again was not a smile, but tears of joy that flowed down her cheeks. Hulina's eyes were filled with tears, sparkling and translucent tears flowed down her cheeks, dripping onto Lu Yuan's shoulder, leaving a little tear stain on his white clothes. But Hulina's charming face was full of smiles, as bright and beautiful as the spring sun. She tightly hugged Lu Yuan, as if she was hugging his entire world. Feeling the trembling body of the person in his embrace, Lu Yuan couldn't help but gently stroke Hulina's short golden hair. He had always known about Hulina's deep feelings for him. This was a woman who loved him to the bone. "Okay, senior sister, don't cry." Lu Yuan's tone was gentle, gently rubbing Hulina's head. His cheek and Hulina's jade-like face were tightly pressed together, feeling the heat of Hulina's tears. "Junior brother." Hulina raised her head and met Lu Yuan's eyes. Her pair of big watery eyes were still dripping with tears, but she didn't care at all and just stared at Lu Yuan, her eyes filled with deep love. "Senior sister." Lu Yuan's eyes carried a trace of pampering, and gently wiped away the tears on Hulina's face, the corner of his mouth slightly raised. Everyone says that women are made of water. Sure enough, it's not a lie. Senior sister, look, you're crying like a little kitten. Lu Yuan's tone carried a trace of teasing. Junior brother, Hulina coquettishly shouted, but the tears in her eyes slowly scattered. Lu Yuan faintly smiled. Sure enough, after diverting Hulina's attention, she stopped crying. To be honest, Lu Yuan was most afraid of his beloved woman crying, because it would make his heart ache. Gently wiping away the remaining tears on Hulina's cheeks, Lu Yuan's movements were gentle, as if he was protecting the most precious treasure in the world. Hulina's beautiful eyes were full of affection, and she enjoyed the wiping of her beloved. So beautiful! After wiping away the tears, Hulina's charming and wholly jade-like beautiful face completely appeared in Lu Yuan's eyes. Hulina originally possessed the demon fox martial soul, and she was originally very beautiful, with a unique charm. After consuming the life spirit crystal, her martial soul transformed into the nine-tailed celestial fox, and not only did her appearance become more beautiful, but her original charm also carried a pure and holy feeling, which caused Hulina's charm to skyrocket. Now, although Hulina's beauty was slightly inferior to Chihiro Snow's and Gu Yuna's, she was still in the top category, only slightly inferior. However, although her appearance was slightly inferior, Hulina had a slight advantage over the other two when it came to seduction. Don't forget what Hulina's martial soul was. She could inadvertently arouse the deepest desire in a man's heart. Of course, other than the three of them, Zhu Zhuqing was also not bad. Zhu Zhuqing's figure was the best, even though she was the youngest. In terms of appearance, Zhu Zhuqing was also the top beauty, especially after her martial soul evolved. Her temperament was even colder, and there was also a trace of mystery in the dark night. She was also an existence that did not lose to Hulina's. It could be said that each of Lu Yuan's four girlfriends had their own characteristics. His taste was not for show, and he found the most beautiful ones. Really, hearing Lu Yuan say that she was beautiful, Hulina's face revealed a trace of a smile. Really? Lu Yuan nodded. Since I'm so beautiful, why don't you kiss me? Hulina's beautiful eyes flickered, and there was a trace of anticipation in her voice. Hearing this, Lu Yuan only felt his blood rushing to his head. He lowered his head slightly and kissed Hulina's cherry lips. His right foot hooked, and the door instantly closed. Why don't you want me? You're not young anymore. We can already do it. Lying slightly on Lu Yuan's chest, Hulina's eyes carried a trace of hidden bitterness. Senior sister, Lu Yuan leaned slightly, hugged Hulina in his arms, and gently kissed her red lips and said, "It's still daytime, and teacher might be here in a while. It's not the time yet." Ah. Hearing this, Hulina let out a cry and was a little flustered. "Teacher will be here in a while." Lu Yuan nodded lightly. What a pity. Hulina's charming face carried a trace of regret. Forget about it now, but don't think about running away tonight. Hulina bit Lu Yuan's lips hard and said fiercely, "Huh." Being provoked by Hulina, Lu Yuan couldn't help but laugh. "Senior sister, I'm afraid the one who wants to run away tonight is you. Don't blame me for not reminding you. I'm very powerful." "Then I'd like to see how powerful you are." Hulina snorted. She didn't believe it. In this aspect, women have more advantages than men. Just don't beg for mercy when the time comes. Lu Yuan smiled slightly. "Humph." Hulina snorted and asked, "Are you already with Chihiro Snow?" Lu Yuan nodded and didn't hide it. Sure enough, she was one step ahead. Hulina pouted her small mouth and asked, "What about Zhu Zhuqing?" "She's still young," Lu Yuan said. "That's more like it." Hearing that she wasn't the last one, Hulina's heart felt a lot better. Seeing this, Lu Yuan helplessly shook his head. Alas, really these things are fussy. Suddenly, Hulina blinked her eyes and kissed Lu Yuan. "Junior brother, I practiced the Phoenix Dance 6 illusions that you taught me to the Deshang." Hulina chuckled. looking at Lu Yuan expectantly, like a child who wanted to be praised. That's very good. You didn't let me down. I originally decided that if I came back and found that you hadn't made any progress, I would personally train you again. To be honest, I still miss the way you practiced the Phoenix Dance 6 illusions with a stone on your back. That clumsy look is really interesting. With that, Lu Yuan's eyes couldn't help but reveal a trace of smile. To be honest, that kind of Hulina was really interesting and funny enough. You still dare to say, "Bad junior brother, I'll bite you to death." Hulina was enraged by Lu Yuan's poking at her unbearable past. It was rare for the little fox to erupt in anger. Hulina directly threw Lu Yuan under her body, opened her mouth, and bit toward Lu Yuan's shoulder. Woo! A big hand directly covered Hulina's mouth. Lu Yuan's body gently turned over and caught Hulina and directly slapped Hulina's perky buttocks. What? You still want to rebel? Lu Yuan's mouth slightly raised, revealing a trace of a smile. Chapter 320. Do you still dare to rebel? Lu Yuan asked with a smile as he gently slapped Hulina's perky buttocks again. I don't dare. Hulina drooped her small head, looking as if she had nothing to live for. She didn't know why. Every time she faced her junior brother, she wanted to explode once, but the result was always ruthless suppression. Obviously, Chihiro Snow and Zhu Zhuqing could throw a little tantrum, but she was completely dominated by this bad junior brother. Was this the difference between being pursued and being pursued? Chihiro Snow was pursued by her junior brother. Zhu Zhuqing was reluctant to do so. Only she was the junior brother who was pursued. Was this the reason why her status was the lowest? Damn junior brother, I love you so much, but you actually treat me like this. Hulina thought indignantly in her heart. What are you thinking, my dear senior sister? Lu Yuan took Hulina's jade-like hand, pulled her slightly into his arms, and gently tapped Hulina's jade nose. Lu Yuan said with a smile, Smelly junior brother, you have no conscience. You only know how to bully me. Hulina muttered slightly. Well, don't be angry. I only like to bully you. Who told you to be my dearest senior sister? If it were someone else, I wouldn't be interested in bullying them. Lu Yuan said with a smile. Who knows if what you said is true or not? Hulina muttered slightly. What did you say? Lu Yuan slightly raised his eyebrows. Nothing. I just said that I love you the most. Hulina's beautiful eyes were slightly flustered, and she quickly said, Oh, you. Lu Yuan sighed softly, flicked Hulina's smooth forehead, and deliberately pretended not to hear. Hulina had always been obedient and submissive in front of him, but this was actually not good. Lu Yuan preferred to let her unleash her true nature and not deliberately suppress it for him. That was not what Lu Yuan wanted to see. Now, it was actually quite good for Hulina to have a little personality occasionally. It made her more real, more like a living Hulina. After tucking Hulina's messy blonde hair behind her ear, Lu Yuan kissed her cherry lips and said, Get up quickly. The teacher should be here soon. Don't be rude in front of the teacher. There's also Zhuqing. She will be staying with us from now on. Zhuqing? Does she live here too? Hulina asked. Lu Yuan nodded gently and said, This is what the teacher personally promised. I see. Hulina lowered her head slightly. After a moment of silence, she suddenly raised her head and asked, Zhu Zhuqing lives here. Where do you sleep at night? Do you still sleep with me? Hulina's tone had a hint of expectation. This. Lu Yuan gently rubbed his chin. After pondering for a while, he said, I'll take turns sleeping on both sides. Hulina's face had a hint of disappointment. But, junior brother, I want to hug you to sleep every day. Hulina blinked her eyes pitifully. Her appearance was truly pitiful and moving. I see. Lu Yuan lightly tapped his chin and said word by word, Then there's only one way. What way? Hulina's eyes had a hint of curiosity. We'll sleep together. This way, you can hug me to sleep every day. Lu Yuan revealed a meaningful smile. Scram. After listening to Lu Yuan's words, Hulina suddenly became angry. She directly landed a fist on Lu Yuan's chest. This stinky junior brother really dared to dream. He actually wants to sleep together. Dream on. After being punched by Hulina, Lu Yuan was not angry. He still had a smile on his face. Junior brother, come, eat a drumstick. Under Bibidon's somewhat strange gaze, Hulina once again put a big drumstick into Lu Yuan's bowl. Looking at the small mountain of food in front of him, Lu Yuan was slightly stunned. Hulina was a bit too enthusiastic. He was somewhat unable to resist, especially when BB Don was beside him. Nana, that's enough. It's not too late to wait until your junior brother finishes eating. BB Don really could not stand it anymore, and immediately said, oh, okay. Hulina's chopsticks that were reaching out to roast the teppanyaki rhinoceros meat paused, and then slowly retracted them. Junior brother, hurry up and eat. I'll get more for you after you finish eating. Hulina's beautiful eyes stared straight at Lu Yuan, while BB Don and Zhu Zhuqing at the side were completely ignored. Hearing this, Lu Yuan shook his head slightly. This senior sister's love was really too strong. Sometimes he could not resist it. Teacher, this fish is good. You should eat some too. Lu Yuan picked up a piece of fish and put it into Bibidon's bowl. He also picked up 2 pieces of fish for Hulina and Zhu Zhuqing. There was no other way. He could not let these 3 people watch him eat alone. That would be too embarrassing. BB Don nodded gently. His beautiful eyes glanced at Hulina at the side and said, your junior brother knows how to be filial to me. You only have your junior brother in your eyes. How can you still have me as your teacher? Teacher. Hearing Bibidon's words, Hulina's face blushed slightly. She immediately picked up the fragrant rabbit meat with her chopsticks and put it into Bibidon's bowl. This is your favorite rabbit meat. You should eat more. Hulina's face had a somewhat flattering expression and revealed a sweet smile. Your heart is not sincere. Do you need me to remind you? Bibidon's red lips slightly opened and said softly. Suddenly, Hulina's face revealed a trace of embarrassment. She stuck out her tongue embarrassedly and slightly lowered her head. Seeing the scene of Lu Yuan and the other 2 interacting, Zhu Zhuqing's eyes flashed with a trace of envy. The relationship between Lu Yuan and the other 2 was really good. There was a kind of family warmth. She had never experienced this kind of feeling. Suddenly, Zhu Zhuqing only felt a warmth in her hand. It turned out that Lu Yuan had quietly held her jade hand. Lu Yuan's smile was very warm. In an instant, it warmed Zhu Zhuqing's heart. Yes, even if she had never enjoyed the warmth of a family, now that she had this man by her side, she would not lack love. Zhu Zhuqing smiled sweetly at Lu Yuan. Her smile was so pure and beautiful, without a trace of impurity. Seeing Zhu Zhuqing like this, Lu Yuan slightly let go of his hand. As for why he did not continue to hold Zhu Zhuqing's hand, how could she eat while holding it? Zhu Zhuqing picked up the chopsticks and gently tasted the fish that Lu Yuan gave her. The taste was extraordinarily delicious. Teacher, there is something I want to ask you for help with. Glancing at Zhu Zhuqing, Lu Yuan said, what is it? Say it. BB Don said, it's like this. Zhuqing is an agility-type soul master, and her martial soul is the 9 lives lynx. Her potential is boundless, but she can't properly utilize and excavate her potential. I'm not an agility-type soul master, so I can't help her. Therefore, I want to ask Elder Ghost to help guide Zhuqing. Lu Yuan said. Chapter 3:21. Is that so? All right, I agree. Bring this girl to find Gue Mei tomorrow. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, BB Don nodded slightly. Thank you, teacher. Seeing that BB Don had agreed, a smile appeared on Lu Yuan's face. At the same time, he nudged Zhu Zhuqing, who was beside him. One had to know that the Ghost Law was considered one of the top agility-type soul masters. Agility-type title de law were rare on the continent, and assault-type title de law were more common. With him teaching Zhu Zhuqing's strength would definitely increase by quite a bit. After being nudged by Lu Yuan, Zhu Zhuqing immediately reacted and hurriedly thanked BB Don. Thank you, Your Holiness. There's no need. Since you're Obuchi's girlfriend and have already decided to marry him, you're a member of our martial soul palace. This is just a small matter. Bibidon gently waved his hand, and his expression gradually became serious. However, since you're already with Obuchi, you must never do anything to let him down in the future. Otherwise, there won't be a place for you in the world. Your Holiness, please don't worry. Lu Yuan is my man. I'll always be with him in this life. We'll sleep together in life and die together in death. No matter what he does, I'll support him unwaveringly until I die. Zhu Zhuqing suddenly stood up. There was an unprecedentedly serious look on her face, and her eyes were filled with determination. Very good. Remember what you said? Bibidon nodded slightly, and there was a trace of satisfaction in his eyes. Only a woman who was willing to give her all for Lu Yuan was worthy of his unparalleled disciple, Bibidon. Zhuqing, come sit down. After hearing Zhu Zhuqing's words, Lu Yuan was very touched. He held Zhu Zhuqing's jade-like hand and helped her sit down slowly. Even Hulina looked at Zhu Zhuqing in astonishment. This girl's love for her junior brother was probably not much less than hers. She could feel the deep affection in Zhu Zhuqing's tone. The way she looked at her junior brother was exactly the same as her own. Thinking of this, Hulina looked at Zhu Zhuqing with a gentle gaze. Junior brother found the right girlfriend. Go to the consecration hall after the meal. The great consecrator is looking for you, Bibidon said indifferently. Lu Yuan's chopsticks paused. Why was Sindoryu looking for him? Could it be because of Cher? After thinking about it, Lu Yuan confirmed his guess. After all, he had eaten Qianrenxue. Such a big matter, Shuer must have told her closest grandfather, which was the old man Xiandaolu. Was that why the old man wanted to meet him? That was indeed very likely. For Sindoryu, Lu Yuan had no feelings. After all, this person was not very likable. Although he was on the same side, it was difficult for Lu Yuan to have any good impression of him. Compared with him, Lu Yuan admired Tang Chen more. This was a real man who dared to take responsibility for his actions and had an indomitable spirit. Although Tang Chen was his enemy, this did not stop Lu Yuan from appreciating him. Compared with Tang Chen, Sindoryu was not only a little weak in character, but also far inferior in talent. However, even if Lu Yuan did not like him very much, for the sake of Chihiro Snow's face, Lu Yuan still had to maintain the most basic respect for him. After all, he was the person that Chihiro Snow cared about the most besides himself. Understood, teacher. Hearing Bibidon's words, Lu Yuan nodded slightly. He also wanted to see what Sindoryu, the old man, wanted to say. Soon, the four of them finished their meal. Bibidon held a cup of tea and gently took a sip. Nana, take Zhu Zhuqing to find a room to stay in and prepare the daily necessities. Obuchi, you go to the hall of worship now, Bibidon said. Yes, teacher, the two of them said at the same time. Senior sister, then I'll leave Zhuqing to you, Lu Yuan said with a smile as he gently scratched Hulina's nose. Okay, got it. You go first. I'll definitely take good care of her. Hulina smiled. Okay. Lu Yuan nodded and gently stroked Zhu Zhuqing's cheek. Zhuqing, you stay here and follow your senior sister. If you lack anything, just tell your senior sister. She's a very nice person. You don't have to treat her like an outsider. Okay. Zhu Zhuqing nodded lightly. Then I'll go first. Lu Yuan smiled. With a light tap of his foot, his figure quickly disappeared. Hall of Worship. Sindoryu faced the huge angel statue with his hands behind his back. You're here. Hearing the footsteps behind him, Sindoryu said softly. Greetings, great consecrator. Lu Yuan's clear voice sounded. Didn't I tell you not to call me great consecrator? Just call me grandpa? Sindoryu turned around with a smile on his face. Looking at the smile on Sindoryu's face, Lu Yuan was a little stunned. Shouldn't this old guy be angry because I ate Chihiro Snow? Why does he look so happy? You and Cher are together, right? Sindoryu asked. Yes. Lu Yuan nodded lightly. That's good. Sindoryu smiled, glanced at Lu Yuan, and said, In that case, why don't you call me Grandpa? Great consecrator, you're not angry? Lu Yuan asked tentatively. Angry? Why should I be angry? This old man is in a particularly good mood right now. Sendorio laughed and said, This is something this old man has been looking forward to for a long time. You finally did it. It seems that I can hold a grandson soon. Our Qian family finally has a descendant. Great consecrator. Cher and I have only done it once. It can't be so fast, right? Lu Yuan finally understood why this old man was so happy. It turned out to be because of this. Apart from the martial soul palace, this old man was more interested in the inheritance of the angel bloodline. Chihiro Snow was the only person who had an angel martial soul. Now that he had a relationship with Lu Yuan, wouldn't he soon have a successor? However, thinking of this, the corners of Lu Yuan's mouth curled up slightly. Even if he and Chihiro Snow had a descendant, his martial soul might not be a six-winged angel. One had to know that his golden dragon martial soul was the second generation, and it was on the verge of transformation. It was probably stronger than the current Chihiro Snow. Generally speaking, the descendants of a soul master would inherit the martial soul of the stronger of the two parents. Only when the two martial souls were of the same quality could there be a possibility of twin martial souls. Lu Yuan's golden dragon martial soul was about the same as Chihiro Snow's before he had obtained the clear air divine seed. But now, Lu Yuan's golden dragon was obviously stronger. Thinking of this, Lu Yuan looked at Sendoryu with a trace of pity in his eyes. Perhaps the inheritance of the six-winged angel martial soul had been broken with him. If he knew this, would this old man still be happy? Lu Yuan's face had a trace of strangeness. Chapter 322. Just once? That's a problem. Sendoryu muttered softly. The probability this time was still too low. It would be more reliable if he did it a few more times. Then don't stay in the martial soul palace for too long. Go to Heaven Do as soon as possible. Don't you know that Cher needs your company? You don't have any sense of responsibility at all. Sendoryu's smiling face returned to normal as he looked at Lu Yuan. Of course, the most important thing is to give birth to a fat boy as soon as possible. It's best if you give birth to a few more so that our Qian family can flourish. Sendoryu added. Hearing Sendoryu's words, Lu Yuan's mouth twitched. He was only 12 years old. It was a little too early to have a child. Moreover, he wanted to give birth to a few more. What did he take him for? What did he take Cher for? Lu Yuan had the urge to punch Sendoryu's face. Moreover, Cher was currently hiding in the Heaven Do Empire and needed to hide her identity. If she really got pregnant, it would be troublesome. However, when he thought about his bloodline that was constantly evolving, the probability of getting pregnant was very small. The stronger the bloodline, the harder it was to pass it down. It was actually very difficult for a pure dragon bloodline to reproduce. This was especially the case when his bloodline was still transforming, not completely stabilizing yet. So the chances of getting pregnant were close to zero. Only when his bloodline broke through its shackles, reaching the level of exceptional talents, would there be this type of opportunity. Of course, Lu Yuan would not say this out loud. He would let this old man worry about it himself. Seeing that Lu Yuan did not speak, as if he had tacitly agreed, Sendoryu nodded in satisfaction. He looked at the handsome Lu Yuan and felt quite happy. At the very least, this grandson-in-law's appearance was worthy of his family's share. Moreover, his talent was peerless. He had also obtained the favor of the gods and was indeed a good match for Cher. He only hoped that this kid would treat Cher well. Brat, since you're with Cher, then you need to treat her well. You can't bully her or make her sad. Otherwise, I won't care if you're the successor of the God King or not. If you dare to bully Cher, I won't let you off. Sendoryu's tone carried a hint of threat. Of course, Cher is the love of my heart. How could I let her be sad? Lu Yuan said. Chihiro Snow was the person he loved the most. Even if he let down everyone in the world, he would not let her come to any harm. That's more like it. Sendoryu approved of Lu Yuan's attitude, and his expression gradually softened. After being away for more than 2 years, your strength should have improved a lot. I heard from Cher that she lost to you. Furthermore, Your second martial soul is very powerful. It seems like you haven't wasted these 2 years. It's just a small improvement. You're too kind, great consecrator. Lu Yuan was a little humble. I've already said to call me grandfather. Why are you still calling me great consecrator? Sendoryu's tone carried a hint of dissatisfaction. Yes, grandfather. After hearing Sendoryu's words, Lu Yuan's expression did not change. It's just calling me grandfather. It's not like I haven't called him that before. On account of share, I'll give this old man some face. That's more like it. Sendoryu wore a smile on his face once again. Sendoryu asked Lu Yuan a few more questions about cultivation. At this moment, he seemed to be very concerned. He really did act like a grandfather. Suddenly, Sendoryu seemed to unintentionally mention something. I heard from Cher that a Dragon Emperor Douluo has acknowledged you as his master. I wonder if this Dragon Emperor Douluo has come with you. Elder Long, come out. After Sendoryu mentioned this, Lu Yuan no longer asked Long Xiaoyao to conceal himself. He directly let him out. Long Xiaoyao's figure suddenly appeared in the hall. Seeing that Long Xiaoyao had appeared without any warning, Sendoryu's eyes gradually narrowed. Long Xiaoyao had been following Lu Yuan all this time, but he didn't sense him at all. How strong was he? Could he be even stronger than Sendoryu? Sendoryu was secretly astonished. In fact, Sendoryu had misunderstood. Long Xiaoyao was indeed a little stronger than him, but not by a lot. The reason why Sendoryu didn't discover him was because Long Xiaoyao's martial soul was the Darkness Holy Dragon. He controlled extreme darkness, and was naturally adept at concealing himself and restraining his aura. In addition, Sendoryu didn't check carefully. Long Xiaoyao's cultivation was also slightly higher. This was why Sendoryu didn't discover him. Otherwise, with Sendoryu's abilities, he would have been able to discover him. Grandfather, let me introduce you. This is Elder Long, the Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao. His martial soul is the Darkness Holy Dragon. He's a rank 99 ultimate Douluo. Elder Long, this is Cher's grandfather. He's also my grandfather. He's the great consecrator of the consecrated hall, the angel Douluo Sendoryu. He's a rank 99 ultimate Douluo with a six-winged seraph martial soul. Lu Yuan introduced Long Xiaoyao and Huyu Hao. Ultimate Douluo and Ultimate Douluo were the same. They were both nicknames for rank 99 titled Douluo. Long Xiaoyao, Sendoryu, the two of them stared at each other quietly. As one of the top fighting powers in the Douluo continent, there was an atmosphere that was different from ordinary people when they saw each other. Sendoryu's martial soul was the six-winged seraph, and he controlled the power of holy and light. Long Xiaoyao's martial soul was darkness, and he controlled the ultimate power of darkness. When the two of them saw each other, they felt like they were going to compete. After Tang Chun and Pasizi, you're the first ultimate Douluo I've met. Sendoryu looked at Long Xiaoyao and said plainly, if Long Xiaoyao wasn't included, Sendoryu, Tang Chun, and Pasizi were the only three ultimate Douluo in the world. Bibi Dan was also rank 99, but she had received the Rakshasa inheritance and couldn't use her full abilities. If they really fought, she might be slightly inferior to Sendoryu. However, Sendoryu couldn't do anything to her. Right now, Long Xiaoyao was giving Sendoryu immense pressure. His aura was so strong that it seemed to overshadow Tang Chen's aura. Sendoryu, who hadn't fought anyone for many years, suddenly felt a little excited. This Dragon Emperor Douluo might be a very good opponent. You're also the first ultimate Douluo I've met. Long Xiaoyao was also staring straight at Sendoryu. There was a tinge of fighting spirit in his calm eyes. Although Sendoryu's aura was inferior to his, he was undoubtedly still a rank 99 Douluo. Furthermore, Sendoryu's body had an extremely strong holy power. Even though that power didn't seem to belong to him, it was still extremely powerful. This made Long Xiaoyao feel a little eager to try out. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.